Please put your hands together for him.
I feel it around me that I'm so happy. Can you please clap for Jesus? Let me follow the protocol. The convener of this very important program, the Managing Director, Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, my friend, my brother. The speaker of today's event, Dr. Akim Oguniro, and the man we have just coronated, the man we have just presented a beautiful award, Professor Benga Nubi. I bring good news, greetings from Africa International Housing Show. I want to thank all of you for being part of history. And I want to let you know Enugu is my second home. I met Reverend Goshpushime for the first time when I came on advocacy journey to be the former governor of this state, His Excellency Governor Shime. But I told him I want to know who are the people who are in the business of real estate in this your state. He linked me up with the then Commissioner for Housing, Honorable Festus. I cannot remember his surname. I'm sure some of you know him, who was a former speaker of your House of Assembly. And it was through Honorable Festus I met Reverend Goshuku Shime. That is how the journey started. Then I must confess to you, if you want to write the history of my life, you start from Professor Nubi. And that is why I keep saying, a successful man without a successor is a failure. What is the essence of being successful when you don't have anyone to take over from? Prof, can you remember? How many years ago did I meet you? About 30 years ago. I was nobody. I met Reverend Shime when I came to Enugu. I met him in his present office. I told him my vision. I said, this is what I've heard about you. I want to let you know the journey has never remained the same. Reverend Shime is a great mentor. The history of my life will be completed without acknowledging him. And that's why I had to leave South Africa yesterday afternoon. Instead of going to Abuja, went straight away to Lagos, left the hotel room this morning, 6 a.m. to the airport. And I landed here by 8 a.m. I said I cannot miss this program. Reverend Shime, I celebrate you. I'm sure you are proud of the boys you are mentoring. And every time I keep telling you that I'm the #1 mentee you have. Yes or no? Yes. Let me tell you about him. The housing industry that I run advocacy for is not an easy business. I'm not a developer. The only thing I do is tell the government, do the right thing. This morning I've just posted on the handles of the governor of Lagos State, telling that I have observed for anybody to do real estate business in Lagos, you have to deal with 12 agencies. And each of these agencies have targets in terms of revenue. And those agencies are not even working with themselves. You cannot have affordable housing. Under this environment, Governor Sanwo-Olu, you are our friend. This is not our agreement. You are killing business in Lagos. And when I came in, I saw my father, Reverend Shime. The first question I asked him, how is your governor doing? I saw my brother pastor there. I asked him the same question. My business reminded the government of this country that there's a correlation between housing and productivity. When you sleep well and you get to the office, you contribute better than the man who slept under the bridge. There's a correlation between housing and health. When you sleep well, malaria will not locate you fast. I was in Canada. For 3 days, I did not sleep more than 2 hours. I got to a particular place, my body was shaking. Then I discovered that something want to happen. Then I confirmed that if I get a good place to sleep and sleep like a baby, I'm likely not to fall sick fast. There's a correlation between security and housing. Let me use this opportunity, since we have TV here, to call on the federal government of Nigeria to do something urgently to address the welfare of Nigerians. With the increase in fuel, the housing industry will be suffocated, will be affected. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to be here to support my father. I'm a member of the board of trustees. Sky is not our limit, because sky itself cannot stop us. Reverend Shima is so important to me. I remember some years ago, I was fighting the then managing director of Federal Mortgage Bank. I did a report. I'm the owner of housing program on Africa Independent Television that you watch all the time. I'm the owner. And I did a report on the man that you are not there for yourself, you are there for us, you are managing our money. Respect yourself. And I did one report to embarrass the man. I think they were looking for who can talk to me. Reverend Shime, I respected. Yes or no? Where did you bring me to? You brought me to Enugu. You brought the MD to Enugu. You spent the money for the flights for me. Abi, you put me in hotel. That is why I say today, I have my father, Reverend Shime. You can see why I'm doing well. When I look at the left, I see Nubi. I see Akino Bunino. And when I look at the right, I see these are the guys that manage me. I want to encourage all the youths. The youth that are here today, I can see some of you. Matthew Ashimolowo said, and I quote, to be current is a currency of life. Try to be on the top of your game. Try to be what? On the top of your game. When you are current, people pay your transportation. They pay for your flight ticket. Reverend Shime, I pay everything for me. That is, I went to South Africa. Somebody paid for the flight ticket. Business class, hotel, everywhere. I encourage the youth. I have the same background with them. If Professor Onobi can succeed, I can succeed. And if I can succeed, you can succeed. I thank you all for being part of Reverend Shime. I thank the MP of Federal Mortgage Bank. I've told him he's on the right. As far as we are with you, nothing touch you. But as far as we say no, wala can be. Thank you, everybody.
You know, when I introduced him as a very warm barrister, Festus Adebayo. Please put your hands together for him. I want to recognize the presence of Barrister Surveyor Albert Edoga. Sir Albert Edoga was a former Commissioner for Lands, Enugu State, former Head of Service, Enugu State, Chairman, Better Microfinance Bank, and most importantly, the present father of our convener. For the next goodwill message, it is my very pleasure to welcome to the podium Mr.
At 72, you will learn to use the podium. Observe and follow the protocols that have already been established. But it's important to speak to us on the importance of loyalty. The lives of the Chimes, the lives of the Nubis, the lives of the Adebayos, the lives of our friend, the MD, CEO of the Federal Mortgage Bank, speak to the benefits of loyalty. One thing I learned from Scripture, amongst others, is that loyalty pays. If you read somewhere in Kings, I think it was his first Kings, Elisha had only one job description. Elijah was only remembered for one thing. They said, this is the man that poured water in the hands of Elijah. That was all he was remembered for. But what happened? Elisha eventually became the successor to Elijah. Elisha became the successor to Elijah. The man who was only recognized as pouring water. But one thing I want to tell us about loyalty is that those who show loyalty, those who are anointed, and they succeed, those who have come before them, always carry a double portion anointing. So those of you who have served loyally, you will have a double portion anointing. I met Reverend Ugochime many years ago, I can't remember how long, as EDCOO of AG Mortgage Bank. We forged some kind of a relationship because there is something I'm mentioning now, I had not said it before, that ties us together. My philosophy in life is that God has given us a purpose. What is God's purpose for man? That we serve Him and we serve His other children. That's all. That we serve God and serve His other purpose. And that is what I found in Reverend Chime, now Dr. Reverend Sovio Chime, the first time I met with him. Always willing to serve. Always willing to serve. So when eventually I became the MD, CEO of our organization at that time, I will support you. He said to me, I will support you. And that support led to his joining our board, the board of AG Mortgage Bank. That support led to moving a bank with about less than 1 billion in total assets to over 23 billion total assets today. That's the kind of man that he is. So when Reverend Ugochime says, I am supporting you, you have a support indeed. When I came in here yesterday, the mere layout of this facility outstanded me. I was held in awe. I thought I was in New York. I thought I was attending a program in New York. And I said to myself, this is just the third edition of this project. we have moved here, Ugochime have moved it from a local platform in Enugu to an international platform in less than 3 years. Today, you have people from South Africa, you have people from Dubai, you have people from all over the country, across borders, attending a just 3-year-old summit. What will happen in 10 years' time? So I want to say to us that I have imbibed one new love, the love of inclusion. As we speak today, as we walk through the AMADEO summit, let us begin to think of how we can include other members of society. And I think that is one of the things why he's bringing all of us together. Inclusion. Let's begin to think of how we will build an inclusive society. It is so passionate to me that we have set up a sustainability unit in AG Mortgage Bank. The next thing is, how do we build for the next generation? And that is exactly what Reverend Chime is doing and bringing us here. Build for the next generation. What are we leaving for the next generation? Are we leaving our bank accounts, which by mere signature, either by a fraudster or by the governor of the central bank cancelling the license, that money is gone. The money is gone. Is that what we want to leave for the next generation? Are we leaving houses for the next generation? You know our culture here about insurance. That house may not even be insured, and it is burnt down. Is that what you want to leave for your children? No. What we want to leave, we want to transfer knowledge, we want to transfer skills, we want to transfer passion for service above all. Good, I think this is happening, this you're doing. I remember once we had a very, very naughty issue with the Federal Mortgage Bank, which was a mortgage partner. And he had a huge approval then. And we were torturing, like I said, at that time. But thank God, God has strengthened us. That we are one of the best PMBs you can talk of in Nigeria today. And so, what did we do? We were to be blacklisted. He said, no, we can walk this thing through. They said, no, you don't have that time. But he said, no, this approval you gave me, you can keep it if you're not passing it through AG Mortgage Bank. We cannot forget that, sir. We cannot forget your kindness. And that was the beginning of the transformation that AG Mortgage Bank had. We will always remain loyal. To this cause, I pledged last year that we will continue to support this cause. And we did, and we will continue to do. That we did yesterday, we will do today, we will do in the future. Thank you very much.
The CEO of AG Mortgage Bank, in the person of Mr. Ngozi Ayogo. Please, let's put our hands together again for him.
Director of Federal Mortgage Bank, for his goodwill message. Please put your hands together.
Thank you very much. The convener of the AMADEO Business Summit, Reverend Dr. Ugochime, the guest speaker for today's event, Professor Nubi, the CEO, Exima Realty, my friend and brother, I always tell him that I always like to listen to his presentations. Because one sweet thing about his presentations is that he's not very formal about the way he goes about it. And he communicates excellently. The MD, so Chief Executive AG Mortgage Bank, Ngozi Ayogu, my friend, brother, let me say twin brother, Barrister Festus Adebayo, the convener of Abuja Housing Show. In fact, if you try to attack me, I will just run and seek protection from you. The Executive Director, AG Mortgage, Mr. Simon Ogu, all Redan executives, Enugu chapter, Pastor David Umwachuku, MD iConnect, one of our major partners in the development of housing in Enugu. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be here today to witness the 2024 edition of the AMADEO Business Summit. I am equally delighted to extend to the organizers and all participants the goodwill and warm greetings from the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Ladies and gentlemen, the lack of focus on service excellence in most of our national and private endeavors, particularly by providers of services, has been a major stumbling block in our quest at achieving national greatness. In realization of this challenge, the quality of service delivery has been of concern to all stakeholders, and that was the main driver for the establishment of Servicom by the federal government of Nigeria to address shortcomings in customer service delivery, particularly by public institutions in Nigeria. Accordingly, the theme of this event, Transposition of Interest in Service Delivery, is both timely and relevant as we navigate the complex dynamics of service delivery across our different business sectors in Nigeria. The global dedication of this week as Customer Service Week is also a recognition of the critical need of entrenching efficient and effective service delivery culture in all human endeavors. In today's fast-paced world, fostering a culture of innovation and commitment to service excellence has become imperative. Transforming interest in service delivery from a mere concept into concrete action requires a strategic shift in mindset and the adoption of new ideas and technologies that enhance efficiency and customer satisfaction. At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, we are keenly aware that improved service delivery is a cornerstone for sustainable development. Our mission to provide affordable housing finance to Nigerians is hinged on ensuring that our services are delivered with professionalism, innovation, and a deep understanding of our customers' needs. As you may be aware, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria was established to provide affordable mortgages to drive home ownership among Nigerians, particularly the low and the medium income earners. This is being done through the National Housing Fund Scheme, into which Nigerian workers, both in the public and private sectors, contribute 2.5% of their monthly income. The NHF offers the unique advantage of single-digit interest on loans, between 6 to 7%, long repayment tenors of up to 30 years, for a mortgage and very basic long-term loan terms aimed at making housing finance affordable to its target market of low and medium income earners. Over the years, the loan products under the National Housing Fund Scheme have been expanded to cater for the various needs of its contributors. Presently, the NHF provides fixed interest mortgages for home acquisition, an individual construction loan to aid self-development, a micro loan for home renovation, and a rent to own. In addition to all of these, the National Housing Fund has several loan windows granted to real estate developers and cooperative societies to fund construction of affordable houses at regulated prices. We remain committed to leveraging cutting-edge technology, currently deploying the core banking application technology, leveraging partnerships, and capacity building to enhance the quality of our services, ensuring that we continue to make positive developmental impact. In conclusion, It is imperative to commend the brains behind the AMADEO initiative for organizing and promoting this kind of event as an invaluable platform for sharing knowledge and exploring innovative strategies towards excellent service delivery, as well as recommitting ourselves to service excellence. I expect no less from an endeavor associated with the Copen Group, particularly its promoter and founder, Reverend Dr. Ugochukwu, FNIU, who is also the convener of this summit. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is very proud to be associated with you, and we assure you of our continued support. I am confident that the outcomes of this summit will not only benefit our respective institutions, but will also contribute significantly to the broader economic landscape of our dear nation. I thank you all and wish you fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
He left all the way from Abuja to be here and be part of AMADEO Business Summit 3.0. Let's put it. There's something we have not really paid attention to all the while we were in this summit is find a reason to do good. Even when it is not inherent to you to do good, just find that reason and do good. That is part of why God created you. And then the theme of this year's AMADEO Business Summit is transposition of interest. Different interests and reasons why we do things. But this year, we are encouraged and urged to find. Now, we have come to the major part of the event, which is the keynote speech. He's a man of a very high reputation.
Delivery, and has been described as having a unique understanding of the connection between financial models, capital markets, and brick and mortar, all within the context of Africa's complex and challenging operating environment. A frequent speaker at international conferences, seminars, and retreats, Hakeem Oguneron is the author of the book, The Law and Practice of Real Estate Investment Trust, with highlights of African risk models. He retired from Enugu-Nigeria PLC in 2018, having served as the managing director of UACN Property Development Company PLC from 2010 to 2018, and managing director of MDS Logistics between manager. He was named one of the top 20 CEOs of the listed companies on the Nigerian Stock Exchange for 2013. He is a member of the National Association of Business from the University of Lagos in 1984 and passed the bar examination of the Nigerian Law School in 1985 at the Yale Law School, USA. He has attended several high-level management training programs, including the Unilever International Management Seminar UK, General Management Program 81 to 1984, Fulbright Scholarship to Yale School, USA from 1991 to 1992. Joint Best Individual Performance in Management Accountant and English Chartered Secretary of the Year 2010, Association of Professional Bodies in Nigerian Award for Professional Excellence 2011, and Global Home Nigerian Property Award for CEO of the Year 2011. Real Estate Unite Second of the Year 2013, Award for REMC Innovation UK 2014. The Odua Business Ambassador Award 2018, and more. He is happily married to Iyabode Oguneron, a professor of law at the University of Lagos, and he has blessed with 3 lovely children. With a standing ovation and a round of applause, let's welcome Hakeem Oguneron.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to the podium Mr. Hakeem Oguneron.
You know, but that's what Savio Chime can do. You know, since everybody has been talking about their age and their connection with Enugu, you know, Savio Chime will be 63 this year, I'll be 62. And he always tells me that he's my elder brother. But I always tell him that we are all in our 60s. We are all in our 60s, we are all in our 60s, you know. Secondly, Enugu holds very special memories to me because I'm not sure that I've told Sobio this. I used to run a business for UAC called MDS Logistics. I was CEO of that business for 2000 to 2010. And Enugu was one of our distribution hubs. I had 3 distribution centers in Enugu, 2 on Opara Avenue. In 2002, we built a DC on Opara Avenue for Michelin. So I had that one. I had a warehouse behind Mr. Biggs, also on Opara Avenue. And I had a main warehouse in Emene Industrial Layout, from where we used to feed the warehouses in the center. And from here, we distribute to Umuaheka, sometimes to, all over. To Makodi, we used to distribute to Makodi from here. And when I came in yesterday again, and I saw the level of infrastructural development in this city. In those days, we used to sneak to Enugu because of Nike Lake. So anytime we're on top, we get to Makodi, drive to here, stay at Nike Lake for 2 days before going back. But today, if you see the level of infrastructure development, the roads, the drainages, anytime I'm in a city, I always watch the level of development. I cannot but just say kudos to this state, kudos to this state. Now, about this program, I was here, I think about 3 or 4 years ago when Reverend shared the vision. What is AMADEO? Shared the vision, everything looked so easy. But today, like Prof. and I were saying yesterday, that this will pass for a conference organized by any state government, by any government institution. We have gone to conferences all over the world. So I have to say congratulations, sir. Congratulations, sir. And to my sister, how so the Chima and I mentioned briefly how we met. It was such a funny story. We knew ourselves in Nigeria. Meanwhile, our 2 daughters were sharing room in England. They were in the same university in England. We didn't know. We didn't know that they knew themselves. We knew ourselves, So I was invited to preach at Redeemed Church in Reading. So here I come with the daughter to the church. And I was like, what are you doing here? I said, what are you also doing here? And that was how we met, So I'm very happy to be here today. I have sent in my presentation, and I believe that they can just load my presentation. I extend my greetings to all our stakeholders in the house, Prof, Festus, my troublesome younger brother. Very, very troublesome, but I extend my greetings to you. You're doing great for the industry, and we're very proud of you. Please help me to put your hands together for Festus, so that when I get back to Abuja, I don't know whether my presentation can come now. Okay. When Senator Chimo sent me the theme for this conference, he sent me on a research journey. So I had to start looking for the meaning of transposition. I wanted to find my level and look and take a perspective on the subject. I went everywhere. I wasn't satisfied. Then I went to AI. This is the year of technology. This is the era of technology. So I found the meaning. So I sent them to him that, okay, this is what I found of transposition. So as far as, real estate is concerned, we should be concerned about the future of real estate. The future of real estate. I think we are at the point of inflection in real estate. And when somebody begins to speak about transposition, talking about exchange, value, change, we need to begin to find the nexus between how that will play in the context of a fast changing industry. And that is why I decided to take my topic as the future of real estate. Transposition at inflection point. Next slide, please. I'll share my opening thoughts. Real estate, why transposition? What is the nexus between real estate and prosperity, and also with poverty. What is the position of real estate industry in this country today? I'll look at the real estate market briefly. And I've asked this question, transposition or inflection? What are the drivers of change in the industry? What are the development trends? Because, ladies and gentlemen, when you go to any country and you want to understand the prospect of the real estate in that industry, all you need to do is to look at the development trend. Look at infrastructural development, look at iconic projects. You know, I always like to take a very optimistic view of real estate, you know, for the simple reasons that this is the industry from where I chop. So whatever happens, you know the Bible says, he who has bountiful eyes shall be blessed. And to have bountiful eyes is to look at opportunities when everybody is looking at trouble. So I always like to take a very optimistic view. So I always follow development trends, look at iconic projects, because they tell you the direction of that industry. So I'll do that very briefly. I think the future is now. Future is now. This is no longer the time to start talking about the inhibitors. We know the inhibitors. So the question is, how do you pull away the inhibitors? What are the levers that you must pull? And then my closing thought is a framework for the future, according to World Economic Forum. Next slide, please. Now, this slide is very important to me, you know. And if you are here today to talk about real estate, you are in the right place. You know, in 2022, McKinsey came out with a report that 2/3 of the world's global wealth is stored in real estate, 20% in other assets, you know, and everybody began to argue, you know, and I followed that controversy since. So at September last year, which is still the last report by Savills, the real estate still remains the biggest store of wealth globally. It is more than global equity and bond markets combined, and it's almost 4 times the size of global GDP. And the reason is very simple, if you're wondering why. I first heard from Soviet Chime that everything happens on land. You know, it was the one that first made that statement to me at one Red Arm conference. Everything happens on land. We build warehouses on land, we build hotels on land, we build schools on land. So without land, everything is nothing. There's a lot of hype about digital today, the digital ecosphere. But the truth of the matter, I always tell the guys in the digital space, is that what they call cloud computing, actually lives on the ground inside data centers. And data centers are real estate. So everything you call cloud today, we are storing in the cloud. The cloud is on the ground inside data centers. And the biggest real estate asset class globally today are the data centers. If I'm also going to show you what is happening to data centers in Nigeria. So when you go forth and you come back to real estate. I heard that somebody is already building a church in the metaverse in Lagos. It's interesting. But tell them, you can do anything in the metaverse. You can go to church in the metaverse. You can go and conduct meetings in the metaverse. You can go and hold wedding in the metaverse. But in the evening, you will still come to sleep in a physical house, real estate. So that should explain to us why we need to pay attention to real estate, why we need to pay attention to housing. My prescription to government, yesterday I saw a report that the Federal Ministry of Health is coming out with an executive order for 0 VAT on health items. And I'm wondering, why are we not doing the same thing for housing? We have to bring housing to the center of economic discourse as a nation. It doesn't matter when you look at it. At any country that wants to stimulate the economy, the first place you have to look at is housing. The reason is simple. Yesterday we went to the groundbreaking of Graceland, Rehoboth, and the other estates. If you come back to that place, in another 4 months, you will see a whole ecosystem of suppliers, of workmen. These are the people at the base driving the economy. And that's the way it happens. You know, so next slide, please. So real estate remains. So why transposition and real estate? Number one, next slide. The whole world is changing. There are too many things driving change. Real estate itself is changing very fast. We're told that we are now at the tidal wave of urbanization. That by 2050, 70% of the people will live in urban cities. That changes the whole dynamic of what real estate will be doing. Housing, shopping, and things like that. We're still living with new realities post-COVID. COVID has imposed on us new ways of living, new ways of working, new ways of building. Now, e-commerce is becoming the standard. But people don't understand that when there is upsurge of e-commerce in any country, it has to be backed by a very strong real estate architecture. Because people don't understand that e-commerce only enables transaction. E-commerce doesn't deliver the goods. When you do your transaction on your system somewhere, you still need to go to a warehouse. Somebody needs to pick, they need to deliver to you. So typically, when you have the upsurge of e-commerce, as we have in this country, we need to begin to think of a robust supply chain architecture in terms of warehouses, distribution centers, and co. to back up what you are doing. What is that? Real estate. For us as an industry, we need to be aware that there's new competition, new competing asset classes, businesses that are easily scalable, much more than real estate. Technology has taken this center stage. We need to be aware of sustainability, ESG, and governance. I sit on the board of Real in the UK, and we've spent the past 2 years creating a framework for green affordable housing, which we're going to launch. We've just created a subsidiary called GCHI, Green City Homes International. And thank God we just found new funding, $60 billion, which we are putting into that element, you know. But the fundamental fulcrum of the whole development is green, is sustainability, is climate smartness, green funding, and so on and so forth. There's rapid shift in customer needs and values. Today, everybody wants short. I mean, people no longer take long-term interest. There was a time in this country that I did development in Lagos. You know, when we did ExxonMobil Towers, as we started, we had a tenant took a 5-year lease, paid us $4 billion upfront. When I did KPMG Towers in Lagos, as we started, we had a tenant who took 3-year lease, paid us $3 billion upfront. You know, those type of deals have slipped out of the industry. I mean, you still have find a few of them here and there. But today, people are interested more in short-term interest, new attitude, employment contracts are short. And more importantly, for the purpose of the theme of this conference, today we are speaking of real estate as a service. And when you begin to think of real estate as a service, you are more concerned about your value proposition. Value is benefits minus price. So when you speak of transposition, you're talking of how do I exchange value for the money that this person is giving me. And that's how we should begin to look at it. Next slide, please. Real estate is a driver of prosperity. Driver of prosperity. When you want to see how any economy is going, when you enter the country, when you look at how many development sites, you know how the economy is going. If you don't find so many, that economy is not doing very well. And most importantly, it's a critical driver of economic development indicators. All the HDI indices, they are tied to real estate. Next slide, please. Now, real estate also has a very strong link with poverty. Anytime you want to look at poverty, please go to real estate for 2 reasons. Number one, home ownership helps to create sources of wealth for people. A house that you build and buy today, that you empower. And that is why what Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is doing is very critical to the economy. They empower you to buy a house today, maybe the house is 30 or 40 million, you pay your counterpart funding, they finance the rest, you are able to repay. 10 years from now, just imagine how much wealth you have created. The housing sector has a tremendous effect on the broader economy. It contributes to GDP, private residential investments, and consumption spending on housing services. In the US, it amounts to about 18% of the GDP. It's also directly linked with poverty. You know, one of the things I find curious about this country is that we are spending money on the health sector. But do you know that where people live is a critical determinant of the type of diseases they run into? When people live in slums, you know, automatically, and there's a lot of empirical studies which has been done by WHO organization, that housing is a social determinant of health and well-being, and it has critical implications on the life of the people. Next slide. Now, I've been building this slide for about 4 years. You know, one of the reasons why we also need to begin to talk of transposition in real estate is the fact that today our industry is seen as haven for fraudsters. Anywhere you go, and you see all these reports, somebody builds a house, 6 flats, he collects money from 200 people, he runs away. Somebody builds a house, you know, 13 flats. There's a man who built 13 flats in Lagos. He built 16 flats in Lagos. He collected money from 500 people. You know, these are the people giving the industry the kind of bad name that we all want to run away from. You know, so if you are a developer and you hear your counterpart talking of transposition of interest, you have to also sit down and begin to understand that now I have to know that I have to give value in exchange for money that I'm collecting from people. And what is value to them? They want quality, they want good design, they want timeliness. They don't want you to give them 2 years and not deliver in 5 or 6 years. They don't want you to go and build and not get all the approvals. And then suddenly after you have sold 5-10 years, the regulator comes, they come and demolish the building. No, you have collected your money, you have moved on. That is not the picture of somebody who understands the necessity for transposition. Please, let's go on. So, I'll just look at the economic snapshot very quickly, and then I'll move on. Global real estate market, 3.8 trillion, estimated to go to 5.85 trillion by 2030. Nigerian market was estimated at 2.4 trillion in 2024. And of course, we know the drivers. Population, somebody says, I mean, it depends on who is counting. You know, we are between 180 and 220 million. But urbanization continues. And of course, as a contributor to GDP, it's still about 5% in 2023. And you will see 2024 now. I think we can move on. I have all this in the slide. I think we can move on. I mean, this was that's the snapshot of the economy as at August 2024, which I got from Dr. Adedipe. You know, we can move on. I can just leave this one now. We can move on. You know. Now, go back to one slide. Transposition or inflection. My view is that there are some trends that will force a change in this industry, and I'm going to speak about 3 or 4 of those trends. Number 1. Regulatory compliance and regulatory intensity. We're now in an era of regulatory compliance, and the reason is simple. We've had building collapses. You know, today, you know, in those days when you had that a building collapse and 2 people died, you are worried. But today, you hear about building collapses, you know, all of us shout about it, 30 people, 40 people dead, you know, nobody is worried. I currently sit as the chairman of Construction and Real Estate Group of the Nigerian British Chamber of Commerce, and later this month we are holding a program on building collapses. You know, so proliferation of real estate players, so necessity for self-regulatory organizations. You can see what I call the resolute enforcement of city master plans. We've seen in FCT, we've seen Benue, we've seen Kaduna, we've seen even in Enugu. You know, in this state, many kidnapper dens have been demolished. I hope you have been following the story, because they were built not for the purpose for which it was. So we're in an era of regulatory and compliance intensity, and everybody as a player. When they were demolishing houses in Lagos, I told my customers, and every time I granted an interview, I said, with my development, it is not possible. The reason is simple. Real estate is a business of process, it's a business of compliance, it's a business of regulation. There are steps, they're very, very onerous steps. But I have taken, maybe because of my background from UAC, I've taken a very simple decision. Before I till the ground, I comply with all the regulations in whatever city I'm operating. In Lagos, I'll do my building approval from LASPA. You go on to LAPSCA to get permission to move to site. You say can't go to site. You go back, you go to Safety Commission to get permission to go. You go to, in fact, as simple as today in Lagos, even your signboard, you have to get from whoever, But we must understand that these are the rules. Maybe because I'm a lawyer, I find myself in a position that I cannot, flout. So regulation, compliance. Next slide. This is the era of title uncertainty, and I know my brother just worked for the federal government on land reform. Today you've seen demolitions in FCT because of conflicting title. You've seen in Lagos. You've seen what happened at Magodo. At least you read in the papers. Magodo is a whole big residential development. After about 30 years, as a judgment, they came one day, they wanted to enforce the judgment. You've seen what happened in Iwaya. There was a case in court between the church and the community for 33 years. After 33 years, the church won. But just imagine how many times titles have changed hands during that period. So all of us need to pay attention, and this will certainly force change in this industry. Next, please. I always ask the question, where is the money? My mantra is that real estate is a funding game. So whenever you have the privilege of sitting beside the MD of Federal Mortgage Bank or the MD of AG Mortgage, take them seriously because they have the money. I sit as the chairman of a mortgage group. Where is the money? We have to be innovative in our financing. When I retired, I retired from UAC. When I started my business, so I came to Soviet. I said, so how do you finance your projects? Then he said, one of the things you have to do is go and build partners. Go and build partners. Go and build project investors. And then he explained to me the way he has been doing it. I said, this is Expo. And that is exactly what I have done for my business. I've been in run that business for 5 years, and I've not borrowed from any bank. I've been running my business organically, growing organically. I don't believe in project indigestion. If I can do only one at a time, I do it. I've raised project investors, I've raised project partners, and that is helping me. So we need to be a lot more innovative, bold, innovative financing solutions. When I hear people that they are going to take loan from a bank 4% per month to do real estate, I said, in all likelihood, you are doing kidnapping with your real estate. The margin from this business, there's no way you can sustain 48% interest rate. It is not possible. So we have to move from medium to long-term funding, reasonably priced, non-variable interest rates. A lot of us will go and take a mortgage with a loan with variable interest rates, not knowing that there's a Supreme Court decision, Union Bank and Ozigi. Please go check it out. That when there's a variable interest clause in your loan facility, the bank is at liberty. So the bank is waiting. MPR goes to 27.5%. They just send you a letter, and you are in the middle of the project. What do you do? Reasonably priced, digitizable. whether we like it or not, we are moving into digitization. I'm part of 2 projects now that they are trying to tokenize their projects. You know, we're putting together a very, very strong vehicles. Put them together. Fortunately, I've floated a REIT before. And so we create a vehicle. But the beauty of it is that now we're able to sell the unit as tokens. You know, one of the problems of real estate industry is liquidity. So when you get a level that you can sell tokens that people can buy and sell and exchange amongst themselves, then we'll be making some very good progress. Next slide, please. I need to run. I will leave this. I need to run. I just want to add from this slide that I'm absolutely impressed by what we saw yesterday. I'm a strong advocate of collaboration in this industry. In fact, I always speak of winning collaborations, not harmful competitions. In my business, every project I've done is a joint venture, you know. And by the way, I have a major AV coming up with Copen in Lagos very soon. You people will hear, you'll hear very soon. Eh? What you have heard yesterday is something small compared to what you will hear very soon. Next slide, please. Technology, of course, I've spoken about technology takes the center stage. Next slide. I've also done a review of the categories, you know, but because of time, you know, I've done a review of living segment, luxury segment, premium and classic segment. Next, I've done a review of comfort homes, affordable social housing. Yesterday, you know, you had the Honorable Minister saying that we are making progress about the renewed Hope Housing Program, you know, which is really very good, and some bright spots that we have seen. Next slide, please. I need to go to. So I look at office, I look at retail, I look at industrial and logistics and hospitality, you know, which is what I've done. Let's move on. Now, as I'm driving to close this presentation, you know, I told us that and I think what we should always try to do, to understand the direction of real estate in any country, you have to look at the direction of infrastructure and iconic projects. Because, and I like to say that if you look at Nigeria, there are very strong pipelines, residential, commercial. In fact, what you see in real estate is, I think, it's antithetical to the stories they tell about Nigeria, you know. But you have to be a player and understand what is really happening. So I'm taking a look at some ongoing, iconic, game-changing projects. Most of them are above $100 million, and it's infrastructural development. Next slide, please. So I took a look at Dangote refinery. And if you look at this project, it is yesterday, no, day before yesterday, one of our friends, Nii Akinlusi, has just been appointed as the MD of Lekki Worldwide. So I went to sit down with him in the office. And the whole of that axis, this project has become a fantastic multiplier. And for real estate, that is what you need. You know, so when you see projects like this, you begin to understand what is the direction of real estate. Next, please. I'm sure we know that the United States is building the largest consulate anywhere in the world in Nigeria. And you have to ask yourself, why would the US build the largest consulate anywhere in the world in Nigeria? And more importantly, what is the impact of that on real estate? I think the whole of the precinct on AMADEO Bello Way, from Harbour Point down to the junction, this is the time to go and take position. Because everything in that place, everything will just move in the direction that we don't expect. Next, please. Lagos-Calabar Highway Project. Now, this project is 1,076 kilometers, you know. I saw the Minister for Works saying the other day that the first phase, 47 kilometers, will be delivered by May 2025. As a real estate person, that should start telling us something. All along, if you have patient capital, this is the time to take position. Next slide, please. Of course, you know, Lagos State, red line, blue line, you know, so all the way now from Ogun State down to Yaba, down to CMS, the whole axis is being transformed. And this naturally tells me as a real estate person that this is the kind of that I want to do. Next, please. Oh, I can't speak too much about Fort Milan Bridge because incidentally this one is landing very close to my project, you know. So you can begin to imagine the multiplier effect. You know what this tells me, what this tell me is that there's a significant pipeline upon which I can build as somebody thinking in this industry. Next slide, please. Massive pipeline in Lagos. Massive, I mean, you know, and these are high-level developers. These are not money marauders. Massive pipelines in Lagos. Next slide. If you look at, I mean, I've taken two particular projects, an office project and a retail project. And it's as if they're building as if something is pursuing them. You know, when you're about to say as if something is pursuing them, they're building the way they build in Dubai, you know, and they're waiting to deliver very soon. Pantheon, I think I also spoke about Orca Mall. Next slide, please. And this is the whole of the pipeline in Ikoyi VI and Lekki. By the way, we're studying Abuja now. We also bring it together, put together the pipeline in Abuja as well. Next. This is the retail mall. After a long lull, you know, we now have a major retail. This is 30,000 square meters. After Novare Mall, nobody has done even 10,000 square meters, you know. But now, this is trying to bring whatever to that segment. Next slide. I spoke about data centers. Everywhere now, major investment in data centers. Major investment in data centers. Next slide, please. Okay. I'm sure we've heard about the ARC. This is the project of Winners Chapel. This is a $110 million project, you know. And if you listen to Bishop Oyedepo the other day, federal government has just approved the airstrip for Canaan land, you know. So what does that say for real estate in that segment? The whole of that behind altar up to Iju, you know, things will just begin to happen. Next, please. I was talking about this school. You know, the proprietors of this school have already put over $100 million. This is the Charter House. This is the first presence of UK, of bringing a UK institution into an African country, South Africa. You know, and you go into this school, they're just amazed that these people, what are they thinking? They have to see something. You know, unfortunately, it's like a 5 minutes walk from my new project, you know. I'm very excited about this, you know. They put over $100 million and it's supposed to be primary and secondary school, you know. And when you see foreign investors taking this type of position in our real estate space, it must tell you something. I'm also, next slide, I'm fascinated by Wigwe University, you know, not because the late Albert Wigwe was my friend, you know, I follow what he has tried to do, the kind of infrastructure he has put in this. This should tell us also that there are things that are happening in our segment. Next slide. I think I have a few other slides. Okay, I always talk about Lakwe Lakes. The GLA is doing great. It's expanding. I think it's now on phase 4, and they are making, creating unique real estate ecosystem. Next. This is Sisimi Lagos. You know, fantastic vision. You know, putting and making the kind of strides that you can only imagine from the book. Next, please. This is Macarius. This, I'm sure you've seen this Pastor Matthew Ashimolowo's project. I also consulted on this project. You know, this guy has built a water park that can rival what you have in Dubai. Water park, $9 million only, just on the water parks, and he has created an ecosystem that you just can't but marvel at it. Next slide, please. Okay, and we are also creating something. I just thought that I should also mention it, that we're creating something which we're going to also launch very soon in Lagos by the grace of God. Next slide, please. Now, as I try to close this presentation, so we have opportunities, we have people making these strides. We're speaking transposition, but there are inhibitors. There are, just imagine if we have the kind of environment where you don't have to, just imagine if you have a one-stop shop you want to build, you can just go, only 3 agencies, all working together, not working at cross purposes. Like Festus said earlier, there was a time I was doing a project, one agency said, do it this way. Another agency said, no, pay this amount. And I said, okay, let us pay this amount. This one said, if you pay the amount, we'll shut down your site. 2 agencies in the same government. For 11 weeks, we were waiting. For a developer who has borrowed money, and you are paying interest on a daily basis, 11 weeks is like an eternity. So there are inhibitors. Next slide. But I don't want to talk about the inhibitors. You know, we've spoken about them over and over. Next slide. You know, I've just grouped them together. We know where the inhibition lies. Land, infrastructure, funding, technical challenges, legal and regulatory. Just think about the Land Use Act. Since 1978, we have not made any review to the principal legislation driving land transactions. 1978, no review. No review. But I've always told any state that is smart, you know, that we've been talking about the difficulty in amending the Land Use Act. But the reality of the matter is that most of the regulations that are inhibiting land transaction today, they are not from the provisions of the Land Use Act. They are from regulations made under the Land Use Act. So as a state, you can change the regulations today if you want to. You can change the regulations. I'll give you a typical example. The Land Use Act says in sections 24 and 26, it shall be unlawful to alienate without consent. But it doesn't say the procedure you must follow for consent. It doesn't say how much you must pay for consent. It is people, it is government who have imputed revenue generation philosophy into land transactions, who have made it so difficult by imposing exorbitant consent fees. You don't have to wait for the repeal or amendment of the Land Use Act. You can change those regulations today, and that is the way we should all be working. So what are the levers that we have to pull? I need to round up. Next slide, please. I think the future is now, and I believe that's why we are speaking about transposition. We're speaking about inflection. Next slide. If you want to drive this industry, we must look at land. Overhaul the land tenure system, facilitate easy access to land, solve Land Use Act issues, CFO. People don't understand that the certificate of occupancy is not a conclusive document of title. I hope you know. In fact, the Supreme Court said in Enugu-Nigeria that the CFO in the hand of that man was a worthless piece of paper. So the amendment must solve that. We have to get to a level that there's a title that the law should tell you that once you take A, B, C steps, you have done all that the law requires to do, and there's no evidence of fraud or malfeasance on your part. Your title must be guaranteed by law. Finance, I can speak about it from now till tomorrow, and I'm not going to talk about anything that I've not done before. Even when the regulatory regime was very difficult in this country, we raised money. In 2010, as MD of UPDC, we raised the first non-government, non-financial institutional bond in this country, 15 billion naira in 2010. Every other person in the industry, they came after me. Dangote, flour mills, the first non-government, non-financial institution we raised for real estate. In 2012, we floated a REIT, 32 billion. In 2013, we went back, we raised another bond. In 2014, we did rights issue, we raised money. I was talking to Prof about urban regeneration. When we were going to do regeneration of Festa, we went to the market, we raised money. That was when the regulatory environment was very tough. When we floated our REITs, The regulation was so bad that we had to go and sit down with SEC. That SEC changed its rules. They were that understanding that, okay, if you can do this, we can do this. That was how we were able to float that rate in 2013. You know? So we need to begin to think. People always say that there is 14-15 trillion naira in pension fund. But pension fund will never invest directly in real estate. But they will invest in real estate vehicles. So the challenge for us as practitioners is to sit down and create asset-backed securities, vehicles that we can take to the market. And the amount may be small, it may be too big for individual to drive, but that's why the power of collaboration comes. Infrastructure. Today we see government giving tax credit for road construction, tax credit for this. One of the greatest challenges I have with the government on the issue is on land taxation. The basis of land taxation is on an increment theory, which says that the value of your land has been enhanced by facilities and infrastructure not provided by you, provided by government. Therefore, contribute something back. But when you are the one providing all the infrastructure, you are the one providing your primary infrastructure, you are the one providing your water, you are the one providing your sewage treatment, you are the one providing your water treatment. What is the basis for changing land taxation? So I think that's a strong case for us as industry, and this is an advocacy point for you, investors, to drive for tax credit for the infrastructure that have been provided by developers, just as we have seen that they've done for Dangote and so on and so forth. Next slide, please. I'm rounding up. I've spoken about tax incentives already, and by the way, the new regulation on tax last week is very good because it has, now if you want to float a REIT now, the coast is clear. Those days there was problem of double taxation, but that has been eliminated. And the reason is simple. When we started this advocacy, Taiwo, who is now the chairman, he was one of us. So he knew what he wanted to do, and he has achieved that for real estate investment trust. But the real opportunities are sleeping in this industry. Student hostel accommodation. My company, we have just done a deal with one of the first generation universities to do 10,000 bed hostel space. 10,000 bed hostel space for one of the southern new generation, first generation universities. Co-living, co-work, crowdfunding, warehouse and data centers, real estate notes. You know, when Sovereignty told me about project investor, I took it a bit further. I created real estate notes. So those my investors, I issued real estate notes to them, and I made sure it's below regulatory limit, regulatory threshold, so that nobody can run after me. That opportunity is there. Co-investing, you pay consultancy for that to prosper. Co-investing, and of course, urban regeneration. I have led a major urban regeneration initiative in this country, and I know that there are significant opportunities for that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very vibrant, this is a very great industry. There are challenges. The future will belong to those. The future, by the way, is now. Belong to those who, like the Bible says, you know, the Bible talks of the children of Issachar. It says they have what? They have understanding of the times. As a player in this industry, you must understand the times, you must understand the opportunities, you must understand the challenges, you must understand the trends. Take technology seriously. This is the era of AI. There are two things that will happen in our industry that must happen. We must commoditize housing. We must be able to buy and sell house the same way you buy and sell any other products. We must commoditize housing and must industrialize the process of housing delivery. The deputy governor yesterday spoke about using mud houses and things like that. But when you want to build to scale, when you want to do 10,000 houses, How much of mud can you use? You know, I think on the contrary, we need to step up our advocacy. Those building materials that are killing us, we have to find a way of getting government to look at the duty on those. You know, custom charges duty at dollar exchange rate. You know, that is where we have to step up. I'll give you an example. In 2020, before COVID, still reinforcement per metric ton was like 140,000 naira. After COVID, it went to 150. When it got to 180, I was the one that made noise on our platform that what are people doing? Reinforcement is inching towards 200,000. Today, it's about 1.2 million naira. About 1.2 million naira. So what do? We need to pay particular attention to those things. You know, so you have to pay attention to technology, pay attention to regulation, work in the path of compliance. I always encourage developers. I like to walk the path of compliance. I like to do my project strictly in accordance with the law without bending the rules. I encourage all of us in this industry. The future belongs to those who walk in the path of compliance. Those who are able to innovate in terms of funding. Not just sit down and go and take CP of 3 months. You are dead. If you remain in this industry, you are very lucky. Because real estate is a financing game. You must always be able to match your assets and liabilities optimally. Otherwise, when Sir Chimo calls us to this conference next year, you'll be in your village. You probably will not be a real estate developer. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Hakim. Opening the round. A round of applause. Thank you, sir. That was very amazing. I don't know about you, but for me, I've learned so much today. So please, can we celebrate ourselves once again? Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, neighbor. Well, for me, these 3 days have changed my life. Just yesterday, I've started my real estate project. I've started my project. And you know, the name of the Mercyville project, Graceland. You hear the names? Sit now. That is why if you want to buy a land, do your duly checks. And I always advise people to invest. Decide to come and buy land where Dangote is building refinery. So I sent money to Lagos. I became very proud that I'm a neighbor to Dangote land. The agent, as we're going, I'll ask him, where is my land? He said, we will drive. He said, my brother, can you see from here to here? Lagos State Disc2, they're about to build their own in the next 2 months. So we're going into the panel section, but truly, I have really learned enough, and I want to say thank you, sir, for giving me the opportunity and privilege to be part of this. And to all the... You call somebody, hello sir, have you been paid? Can you confirm? Both Muslims and Christians, they were warned. My friend who was owing his landlord, he didn't know when they matched him and the landlord. Immediately he called, hello sir, have you been paid? Or that's it, you have paid your rent. So young people, let's not be fast. See, these people are taking their time. And for every one of them that have received award here, they have wonderful families. Am I not saying it? Yes, because I think the woman you marry will also determine how far you will go in your business. Yes, by God's grace, I am 10 years in marriage. I don't look at it, right? On account for me. I look slim, I mean. I know slim is a family problem. Welcome, sir, Pastor Ed. Please can we celebrate God's servant, Pastor Edwin Bible, Bishop of House on the Rock, out in Nigeria. Thank you, God bless you, sir. So the pressure that our generation face, these people that came up and they don't face it. Look at me, the other day my children just started school. Day 1, they gave me one list. They said toiletries. 3 of them, 300,000. How? One tissue in Nigeria is 200 naira. If you divide 300, that means each child is using 1,500 toilet roll. I asked the owner of the school, did this child, do they have spiritual diarrhea? I have to warn my children, don't go in this school. When they go to school, I give them flagyl. Take this one in the morning, take this one in the afternoon. It's too much. I saw the school that, when even we saw that school, you know how much? My little son, I took him to school. They said discovery class, 700. I said, begin one never discover. I didn't know when I took the boy to go and watch Discovery Channel. So we have the next panel section. Are we ready? Okay. The session will continue. Because now in Nigeria, people don't laugh. Some people here now, their phone is here. As you are driving, when you get to the hill, you put it on neutral. We'll come out of it. We saw the prophecy. He said, the rock will run. I will keep on running. So young people, let's learn from them. And I tell people in marriage, there is no formula to marriage. My marriage counselor, who have been counseling us since 10 years, is having problem, is married. I mean, the counselor alive, I don't mind. So what I'm saying is, when you marry and you're successful, you're married, you will do well in business. Young people are talking to you. Please, a round of applause.
And you notice that every day, every time he wants to talk, he wants to talk about his family and family problem. Has your family problem become a community problem? He says he's looking for help. Did anybody see help around here? I saw help outside when I was coming in. Did you see help anywhere? Okay, it's up. It's on top of the roof. Okay. Gentlemen, ladies, we're still on with the program, AMADEO 3.0, the final day. Just like he said, as the keynote speaker was speaking, a very important personality came into our midst. He is the Southeast Regional Director of House on the Rock. He is the person away, or change your seat. You have my permission. When I begin to call the names of the panelists, then you understand why. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together as we call the first member of the panel, Malam Usman Shehu Osidi. And of course, the moderator for this panel is no other than the convener himself. And after this panel, we're going to have another panel, which is also centered.
The purpose is for us to be drinking from their fountain of knowledge, network, and what they have done. Not only that, he was the chief training officer for Savannah Bank. He has held various portfolio in various commercial banks across this country before working and coming to bring to bear those experiences in the mortgage space. He delights in training people and impacting them. Sometimes we'll go to meet some ministers or meet some people, they say, okay, this one is one that recruited us into the industry. And we are now start joking in the board. I say, who do you not know? So tell us. Instead of asking who do you know, please tell us who you do not know so that we can now come from that and be safer and easier. So I want to appreciate you so much. I've mentioned about Professor Nubi. I've said what he has done, and he is somebody that I look up to. One of the reasons why, yes, one of the reasons, you see, when I saw him serving and being there with Dr. Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, carrying his bag, it reminded me of my own role, because I'm privileged to have in this hall the man I started serving from the 1980 when I was 19. He is barrister and a surveyor, a fellow of Nigerian Institute of Surveyors. He's sitting down there. Albert, sir, you're welcome. Please stand so that people can see my organ. But people are seeing the organs. That is him. He's the man that grabbed me and called me in 1990 and said, your star is too bright. If you remain in the civil service, they will finish you because your achievement will cut envy. And he carried me and said, leave the civil service and go on your own. And he insisted that I leave the civil service at the age of 33. I said, go. So you're welcome, sir. So when I saw Professor Nubi there with Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, I felt so happy that I have a brother indeed who have learned that service is the way to blessing. So thank you so much. We are going to still have a panel that comes after this. But we are desirous of looking at these things, so many issues. The Southeast people thrive themselves and are happy about real estate. They like to own houses. We are representing something. The best humble MD that we have in Federal Mortgage Bank is here. We have you serving in the middle because in Federal Mortgage Bank, they deal with both developers and they deal with both mortgage banks. So they serve both the supply and demand side. We have Sangoza serving the demand side. And we have Professor Nubi, who is also a member of the Board of Trustees of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, serving the supply side. So we're going to look at key issues. We're going to give each one of us 10 minutes. We have given them some discussion points, and each person is permitted to look at it from the area that he wants to speak to. We have issues on financing models for affordable housing. We have issues to discuss on land access and housing development. We have issues for discussion on regulatory and policy challenges. We have issues for discussion on mortgage accessibility and inclusiveness. We also have issues for discussion, number 5, on sustainability in housing development. We have also issues for discussion on public-private partnerships, and we have issues for discussion on technology and innovation. And then we have, finally, issues for discussion on risk management and investment models. We're going to give each one of them 10 minutes and allow them to touch on areas that they feel that strikes them as to what we need. We have here an assemblage of developers and other stakeholders and professionals in the industry. So we'll be giving each of us 10 minutes. We have something that we can look at and know whether your time is going very fast. So permit me to start with the supply side, because when I was trying to ask myself, how do I start? I asked myself, is it not when you produce houses through Federal Mortgage Bank that you start looking for demand? Or somebody said, no, it is when people demand for houses that you now produce so that they can. So I became confused. Do I start from supply side or do I start from demand side? But for whatever it is, because the man nearest to me is a member of the Board of Trustees of Redan, like me, I like to play home advantage with him. And after him, then I will go to Malam Shehu Osidi, who is sitting in the middle of the whole transaction. And then we will now go to Sangozi and York. So, sir, Prof, whichever one that you want to speak to, you have 10 minutes and the floor is yours, sir.
Because I permit me to do a a general overview. Immediately you send this to me, I look at, okay, quickly scroll through. I couldn't just extract affordable housing. Continue. Let's just look at, come back to the slum. Sincerely speaking, I want to appreciate my invitation. And I want to tell us that this is a problem of Africa. And I want to appreciate the lead speaker, Akim, for that. After the presentation, I told him, I said, look, you are a lead speaker. We have a conference coming up in November. We've already appointed someone from United Nations, UN Habitat. I told him we cancel. Because this is the message we need now. And God has been preparing him in the last 4 years. I told him you will be you are the. So there were so many things I've gained from attending this year. But I just want to tell us that the reality of our time, and the need for us to really know that we have a lot of work in our hand. I bless God for those fantastic projects that are coming to the country. Like Barrister Ogurino said, when you begin to see such projects coming to this country, there is hope in this country. When you begin to see those kind of pictures that we have seen as projects that are coming, there is hope. And I kept on saying that the rich, they know the problem of the poor. Because if the whole thing is well structured, we call it filtration process in housing economy. There is a process called filtration process. I'm living in a room and parlor in a slum. By the time I upscale my status and move to a bigger apartment or own my house, the house I'm living is not going to be demolished. It filtered down to people at lower level that will move to that scale. So by the time we are building up there, we'll be able to directly or indirectly filter down. But it could take long time. But if we are conscious of the scale and the magnitude of the problem before us, that 80 to 90%, 70 to 80%, let me just be modest, but I know it's more than that, of people living in most of our cities across Africa, they live in slum. They're living in slum. And these are pictures. These are pictures. You can go on. No. Okay. I took this picture myself. Few years ago. A room to let, 800 naira. And I kept on telling people that this was not a corner in Lagos. Behind this house is 10 Mainland Bridge. It's 10 Mainland Bridge you are looking at. It's 10 Mainland Bridge we are looking at. You see, and I'm saying this with every sense of responsibility, because this gathering is God inspired. It's God inspired. So, we will not be looking at things from the way the government looks at things, because we have the heart of Christ. And the heart of Christ is the heart of Nehemiah. Nehemiah said that when I heard about the state of Jerusalem, the fence collapsed, the temple destroyed, he said he mourned. And the king saw his countenance, that this is not the countenance of the man I know. And this was the problem. And he said, I heard about this situation of my people. And the book of Amos says something. He said, woe unto those that are east in Zion. Those that are living comfortably in Zion, and they forgot about the plight of the people of Zion, and they were saying that it does not concern me. He said, when the problem comes, he said they will knock into that house and they will ask, is there anyone still inside for us to kill? And that's why the welfare of the people, under the spirit that the generality of our people, how do we carry them along? There is no generation since God created heaven and earth that has so much access to prosperity, to technology, that it is not permissible for anyone under the sun to be living in squalor. But if this has been our experience, if we met this world like that, like this little step he is taking, we can all contribute our little quota towards changing it. So that these people, 2 weeks after, I want to tell you that this place was fully occupied. But let me tell you something that you don't know. Anytime I show this slide, people ask me, why are they living? Why are they so dirty? Why are they living on this material? How, they just sweep their house and pour the waste? No! This waste you are seeing, they bought it. This is the poor man's building material. This waste you see, they bought it from the truck owners. Those who are supposed to face dump sites, they bought it to sandfill the swamp. And after sandfilling the swamp, they will put just few layers of sand and put the stick and build the house. After 2 rainfall, the sands are washed away, the waste is exposed. But that was the one when they moved into it. So we have, go to another slide. Okay. There were several efforts that government have made over the years. But the efforts were really not yielding, because they were disjointed, no collaboration among the stakeholders. There was a time in the early 60s and 70s, 80% of the cases in the law court, they were land-related. People dying, people were macheted on land ownership. And because of that, we just felt that there should be land use decree. And immediately that happened, litigation in court reduced. But we were thinking that immediately you solve the problem of land, people will have access to houses. So policies in the 70s, especially up to the time of President Shagari, promoted certain services that give people land they will build. But I happen to enjoy land allocation. 2 minutes left. Okay. Okay. I happen to enjoy land allocation, one of the Shagari schemes at Isherolofi. It was then we discovered that you can have land and yet not have a house. Because after about 5 years, I fenced the property, about 5 coaches, and that was what I was using to identify my land. But I got there one day and I found out that my fence was stolen. I was the first recorded case in Lagos or in Nigeria of stolen fence. When I got there, I was looking for the land because it was the fence I used to identify it. Then I reported to the police station. They ran. I said somebody stole my fence. They jumped up at the Sherry police station. They said, how come? Somebody employed someone to be chiseling my block out. When it was 200, they used truck to come and carry away. That was how they stole the fence in Lagos. So we suddenly discovered that land ownership is not house ownership. We suddenly discovered that it's finance. That you can have land, once you don't have access to funding, it cannot be done. So, several efforts were made. Let's just go to the last slide and I submit this final session. Just go to the slides and, okay, continue, sorry. Just continue until we get to that just one slide. Okay, stop there. So this presentation is the collaboration we are talking about, those of us that are seated here. And you see that this slide was dated 2007. It was a presentation to President Yar'Adua. What changed the world and put an end to slave trade was the invention of steam engine. The steam engine around the starting of industrialization and mechanization. But the second most important thing that changed human history after steam engine of 18th century in UK, the 21st century invention that changed the whole world that started in US is mortgage. Mortgage is an invention that impacted the whole world. And that was why, because of the subprime lending that busted in 2007, the whole world is still gambling with recession since then. It's the mortgage. Until we get the mortgage sector right, we cannot achieve affordable housing. We can never. So, it takes the government, whatever it will cost the government, that machine, that instrument, mortgage, we must develop it. Because without developing it, let me tell you something. It is only in Nigeria that somebody will leave university and say, I want to build a house. In UK, the average citizen, they buy a house. But in Nigeria, an average person build the house. You need to be a celebrity to build a house. Michael Jackson, to build a house in developed country. But it's the reverse here. It's the rich people that buys houses here. And that leads to what Barrister Akim said. See, we begin to produce houses as a commodity, mass scale production that will crash price. We can't get there. This is the model we gave the federal government, 2007, housing finance, linking it to Redan, development agent, using cooperative, connecting to FMBN. Until we run this structure, it's a system. until we look at this structure and develop each point, that whatever FMBN have could be secretized and we have this pool of fund, we will still be wasting time. It is not all nations that survive. There is this secret in one book called Why Nations Fail. You design a system. Designing a system could take time, but we must get it.
Amen.
Let me drop.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Prof, thank you so much. I must tell you that after system, I realized that we must have to do better than this. And that is why when he was appointed the MDCE, I knew that Federal Mortgage Bank is about to witness the greatest innovation ever. If we could generate this transforming initiative, 3 of them, I'd like to invite him. You are free from all the 8 areas we have spoken about to pick areas that you want to speak to, and let us hear from your wealth of experience, sir.
Thank you very much, the moderator, sir. I know this is meant to be a panel discussion, but I will crave your indulgence to stand like Prof did, so that we can express ourselves more freely. Thank you for the kind compliments also. I would like to probably, at the risk of sounding with the Federal Mortgage Bank for a while, and then sometime in 2012, thereabout, I was posted to the department called Informal Sector, where we wanted to, advance the cause of financial inclusion, to bring the informal sector into the housing finance scheme. And so, in the bank, when you are posted to informal sector, it is assumed that it's like Sambisa forest. So a lot of people were asking me, what did you do to management that they posted you there? I said, I don't know. And then, so one day I walked up to my ED and I said to him, sir, is this the only thing we are going to continue to do in this bank? He said, what is it? I said, we are running an NHF mortgage, and anywhere you go, people are telling you, this Federal Mortgage Bank, are you still existing? We don't know what you are doing. Nobody is feeling anything. So he said, what do you want to do? I said, why don't we create other products and give people options? So that was how the idea of all these products, home renovation loan, rent to own, diaspora product, and all of that happened. So I would like to start my discussion by recognizing the fact that in Nigeria, we have houses we do not need, and we need houses we do not have. We are discussing affordability, and we have a huge housing deficit in Nigeria as a country. All kinds of figures are bantered, 22 million, 28 million, and so on. But you have empty houses that are unoccupied. And that's why I say we have houses we don't need, and we need houses we don't have. Now you have some developments where they will tell you in Nigeria that a housing unit costs 1.2 billion naira. Just ask yourself, how many houses can 1.2 billion build? There's an amount of money that you can use to build maybe 20 or 30 houses for 20 or 30 individuals. We are talking of mentorship here, we are talking about empowering people. And so we need Nigeria as a country, Nigerians as investors, government as an institution, government institutions to imbibe the culture of building affordable houses, building houses that people can afford. And so this leads me to the next thing. Philosophically, how we are thinking as a bank, as Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. What have we been doing, or what we intend to do to advance the cause of affordable housing? Like the moderator said, we are playing in both the demand and the supply side of the housing sector. What this means is that we are financing developers to construct houses, and we are also financing beneficiaries from taking mortgages to own those houses. And we have been doing this through a number of products. We started with the estate development loan, where a developer can collaborate with a bank to say, I have land and I want to build houses. They will provide construction finance to build those houses. And then we ended up with the problem that we will build houses without particular off-takers in mind. And so either as a result of challenges of location and so on, we will build houses completed and nobody is off-taking them. So we decided also to create a cooperative housing development loan, which was intended to achieve two objectives. Number one, to give operators in the informal sector an opportunity to form clusters of cooperatives so that they can access housing. They will design the kind of houses they want, they cost the houses according to the income of their members, and then they approach the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria to say we are a cooperative of, for example, 50 members, we want to build 50 houses for our members. We will finance construction of those houses. When the houses are completed, we will also finance mortgage to individual members so that they can buy from the cooperatives. I can say iConnect nodding because we have financed iConnect in Enugu, 3 different phases of this project that are delivered. We are now discussing phase 4. And Corporate Services is one of our best developers in the history of Federal Mortgage Bank. So the reason we are doing this is because we want to achieve affordable housing. Because from our experience, we discovered that it is either that houses are not available or the houses available are not within the threshold of affordability to our target market. So you have houses that people cannot buy, and you have people that are looking for houses to buy. So we provide the construction finance in such a manner that we check the designs together with the developers, we agree on the cost, we make sure that the costs are affordable, so we can control the cost at which the houses are delivered, which will meet the affordability capability of our target market. Then we also introduced the Home Renovation Loan. There are several individuals that are able to build some houses on their own, and probably what the person needs is to just put the ceiling, paint the house, or put some furniture and move in. And so to that extent, it is not everybody that is contributing to the National Housing Fund that necessarily needs a loan to build a house because he has already started making some effort. So we introduced the Home Renovation Loan that is repayable over a period of 5 years. So you take the loan and then you just renovate your house, or you complete some outstanding aspect and you move into your house. Then we discovered that a lot of people that were also taking our mortgage loans were not able to raise the equity. First, what the bank did was to reduce equity from 30% to 10%. Now, for a house that is 20 million, 10% is 2 million. Not many Nigerian workers can raise 2 million in bulk. And so what did we do? We also decided to introduce the rent to own, where we spread the cost of a house over a period, what we normally call the years of remaining in service for you if you are a civil servant. And you just pay monthly as if you are paying rent until you eventually finish paying and you own the house. Now, one of the critical things that we also decided to do is to propel massive production of houses. And so under the renewed hope agenda of the federal government, the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria provided a 100 billion naira off-taker guarantee to the consortium of developers that are building 100,000 houses across the country. And this started, if you recall, with the groundbreaking ceremony that was done by Mr. President in February this year to deliver 3,112 housing units in Karsara in Abuja. And we intend to replicate this. I will be happy. I know that Reverend Chime has told me that if you did in Abuja, you have to come and do it in Enugu. Now, we are also looking at promoting certain policy frameworks that can also enhance housing delivery and mortgage affordability. One of the critical issues that we have in housing finance is the issue of titling. A lot of capital is tied down in what is called dead assets. It was estimated that we have over $300 billion tied down in land assets in Nigeria. Why? Because titles are not available. You own a house, it is your own, but you don't have a CFO. You don't have title, so you cannot easily transfer title. So within the context of our operations, we made a presentation to the National Council on Lands, Housing and Urban Development last year, and the council approved that we will create a national mortgage registry that will reside with the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. The idea is to create a national repository of all mortgages in the country. And we are trying to automate that process so that it will be very easy and seamless for people to easily conduct searches and conduct land transactions. So, we have in the southeast delivered 13 projects completed. The first of which was actually a project that was delivered by Corporate Services. We gave him an offer to construct houses in, I think, 8 months or 9 months, and he delivered in 6 months. To date, I am yet to see any developer we have engaged with that has beaten that record in the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. And that is why any program that concerns Reverend Dr. Chime, we will always endeavor to attend. I got to Abuja yesterday, I think around 12 midnight, and by 4 a.m. I was up, and I said I must be in Enugu today by the grace of God. So, ladies and gentlemen, my take home for today is that both as individual investors, both as people of Nigeria, we should all desire to get affordable houses. It does not make economic sense to use 20 billion naira to build 20 houses, when you can actually use 20 billion naira to build 200 houses for 200 people, because it is an asset that propels economic growth. If you own a house that has proper title, you can deposit that, take a loan from a bank, engage in some kind of business while you are still living in your house. So we need, as a nation and as a people, to imbibe the culture of building houses that we need, so that we will dispense with this situation where you have houses that you do not need, when we actually need houses that we do not have. That will be my concluding remarks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And that quote would put it on marble. We build houses we don't need, and we need houses we don't have. That is quite poetic and rhymes into our problem. I want to thank you so much for those initiatives that have changed the narrative in Federal Mortgage Bank and brought it to wider awareness and recognition over the years. I'm going to go to the demand side, to the man who I've said is a trainer of many. And I'd like to invite the Managing Director of AG Mortgage Bank PLC, Mr. Ngozi Ayok. Please, you have the floor.
I ordinarily would have loved to sit and take the questions, but this is part of my biological break. So when you get somewhere, you need to take biological breaks from time to time. There are overlapping issues and key standalone issues in the discussion points that we've been given. But I think I will spend the most time on the funding side. But before then, I just want to touch on something key that Barrister Adero did mention in terms of commoditization of housing. If you look at the scripts I write, each time I say housing has to be commoditized, housing has to be commoditized, housing has. I have lived in one one house for 35 years, remodeled it maybe like 3 times. I shouldn't have done that. What I would have done is to move from one district to the other, because houses have to be traded like every other commodity. But because maybe we don't have enough supply, maybe we really didn't plan it to be so, and we're having those problems. But this conversation, this discussion, we need to begin to do what we call in AG Mortgage Bank, don't tell me, show me. So let's begin to show ourselves that these things are possible. Then I look at the first item here, which is financing models. I will roll that through with item 4, which is mortgage accessibility. We are talking about the key issue here. It's not about financing housing. It's about financing affordable housing. And what is affordable housing? The definition of affordability will vary from individual to individual. You may have a range, but you see, what is affordable to me is what I can pay for. Do I have access to a house I can pay for? If that question is answered in the affirmative, then there's an affordable house for me. But you see, my experience, or our experience in the housing finance space is that house buyers look at 3 key elements before they make a judgment where they have a choice. Is this house you want me to buy available? Is it accessible? Is it affordable? If those 3 questions are answered in the affirmative, then people begin to make conscious decisions to own a home. But you see, home ownership is also linked to income. The income available to the home buyer. Today, we don't really have much to say about the income of Nigerians. Here in Enugu, about 7 or so years back, we collected the names and did affordability profile for over 500 civil servants. They were not up to 5 that passed the affordability test using the Federal Mortgage Bank terms to get access federal mortgage loan of 5 million naira at that time. Why? Because of their low income level. But then the other thing we could do is how do we spread payment so that people can fall within the purchasing arrangements of the banks. That is where the mortgage banks ought to have stepped in. But unfortunately, the mortgage banks too are constrained. The mortgage banks are constrained by small size. We are too small. There's no scale. There's no scale. I said in another forum the other day, we have one of the biggest mortgage banks has only about 80,000 customers. That is not scale. We should be looking at 1 million, 200 million, so that at the end of the day, your cash flow speaks for you in accessing funding in the market. Number 2, mortgage banks are not playing their roles. We were in another forum where Prof talked about decoupling of the mortgage sector. But he said so at the macro level, at the economy level, but right down to the units, to the macro, to the mortgage banks, there is need for decoupling. Why do you need decoupling in the mortgage banks? Because mortgage banks today, as presently constituted in Nigeria, carry a whole lot of risk with very little capital. The mortgage bank will do the origination, which carries marketing risk. The mortgage bank will do the underwriting, which carries funding risk. The mortgage bank will do the servicing, which carries administrative risk. The mortgage bank will carry the funding risk, all with a capital of less than 5 billion. There's no way with that kind of a configuration that the mortgage banks will play the role they are supposed to play. So we are beginning from our own little way to decouple those units in AG Mortgage Bank. So that the servicing unit serves as an entity to service not only our own customers, also customers of others. The originating unit or group will also do origination across the industry. The underwriting unit will gain skill to be able to serve the industry, not just AG Mortgage Bank. By so doing, we begin not only to grow skill, we'll also begin to grow our numbers. Begin to grow, because without skill, without scale, we can't do much. Some of the risks that I've mentioned, some of the risks that a typical mortgage bank carry. But I know I will go back later on how some of them could be mitigated. But majorly, when we talk about affordability, we all have a role to play. Somebody had come to me and he spent like 3 minutes to 5 minutes talking about what government had not done, and so he didn't get, that's why he doesn't own a home. Then I asked him, how much are you contributing yourself? It's not enough to say, government must give me a home. You must have a role to play in the house you want to own, because you're the one to live there. So, what am I saying? There is need to cultivate the habit of savings within the populace. Our savings habit is very, very low. And you don't save because you have, you save because you want to. It's an intentional thing. What happens in Turkey? Turkey had started developing a very strong home saving scheme that will enable individuals take a strong position in owning their own homes. And that is what we should do. Rather than cry about government, see, my colleagues will tell you, I don't believe in going into an act where I don't have control. Because you end up hurting yourself, you end up making noise without achieving anything. What is it that you can do? Begin from that spot. You can begin today to save against owning your own home and be a homeowner. And then at the time you finish, you'll be able to say, I contributed to this. How can you live in a home that you borrowed 100%? The servicing of that house will be too high for you to live. In fact, you will just leave it somewhere, and then somebody takes it over, and the day you're being put down, somebody will come and dance for 5 minutes, eat rice, and walk away. So the point is, let us begin to cultivate the habit of savings. But I must say that the current administration is doing something also to bring home affordability within our reach. We have the RSA, the reserve the savings account from the pension administrators. The FMBN has given us the cheapest window for mortgages in the country at 6%. The Family Homes Fund had come with an intervention that will give you time, a moratorium that you can take at least 40% of your house cost without payment and for affordable rates. And the mortgage banks had been able to come up with their own contribution. In AG Mortgage Bank, what have we done? We have brought together all of these intervention schemes, and we've been able to drive down on one of our projects our interest cost to 9.9%. Is that not single digit? So we just need to be more creative. I just need to speak into affordability, into the use of technology. We are talking about scaling in the mortgage industry. We are talking about savings for home ownership. We can't achieve this without technology. So we are deploying technology in AG Mortgage Bank that will enable you save with an assurance that within a given time you will have a house delivered to you. And what are we doing? We are creating a platform, an aggregator platform for all players along the housing delivery chain. And when they come together with the buyers making their own savings, we know that we will benefit two things essentially. One, speed of delivery because the money will be there. Two, we will reduce costs, the cost of the pricing of your mortgages. And number three, we'll be able to, on that platform, test your credit rating. You know, today it's difficult to know who has, there's no, apart from the rating agencies, we can't get a credible rating of individual borrowers. But our platform has an inbuilt rating application. So that will enable us deliver rent to own, deliver mortgages, deliver investment products and savings on one platform. So we want to invite you to join in this transformation of making houses affordable to you with your own contribution. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you so much. You know, the prof started the process of standing up. So when they have all stood up and I don't stand up, people will say that this man is arrogant. That's why he's sitting down to be talking. So I have to join them. I was thinking it will stop with the people on the 6th floor and 5th floor. But when the man on the 7th floor stood up, I decided that enough is enough. I have to stand up. I want to thank you all for the very incisive contributions. We're going to take questions and answers that will take on some area. But there's something I want to say. I'm aware that Federal Mortgage Bank needs a minimum of 1 trillion to be able to play its role as a secondary mortgage bank. I'm aware also that if the title process and foreclosure process for mortgages are streamlined, it will attract investment and funds to the housing sector. I happen to be the chairman of the National Reform Task Force on land. And one key thing that we have heard from all players in the financial ecosystem, we've asked pension fund administrators and PENCOM, why is it that the Nigerian workers have contributed over 20 trillion naira and you are not deploying even 1 trillion towards providing them housing? Rather, their money is being used by people through issuance of bonds, the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Why do they have, you are not even giving them 5%? We went elsewhere and asked the same question. One key thing they told us is that the process of mortgage and foreclosure needs to be well managed using legal infrastructure that will be faster, that they spend a lot of their time on litigation when there is a default on behalf from the borrowers. The second question we asked them is how come under the provision of the Federal Mortgage Bank Act, the banks were supposed to be giving some money to Federal Mortgage Bank. Why are they not giving that money? They came out again that it is difficult for us to manage that system. We went to the third area. Prof spoke about slums. Those people in those slums are not poor people. The land value of those slums can make them multimillionaires. But why they cannot benefit from the real value of their land is because they don't have title. We did an assessment of those slums. When I was appointed the chairman of Enugu State Housing Development Corporation Board in 2003, I went to Obiago in Enugu here, a slum. I started shedding tears because I saw for the first time where my fellow Enugu people were living. Drain water from the toilet were running in front of their house and other things, physics everywhere, space. We will build houses for all the people in that particular space. But they can't sell because they don't have title. So we discovered that issue of title has led to increase in debt capital. A debt capital is capital that you have, money, assets that you have, that you cannot bring into the financial system because there's no title. So, I'm sure that it is something that we needed to collaborate upon to make sure that first, we liberate the debt capital we have in all our properties that affects everybody. The second is to make sure that we create a pathway for this pension fund, 20 trillion, to find its way towards providing affordable housing. And number three is to make sure that we assure the investors in the banking industry who have these funds that our sector can be a destination of choice for their investment. The reason being that cash is a coward. It goes only to where it is protected, where it is loved, and where it is cherished. So let's build the infrastructure that will shield, protect, love cash, so it can find in us as a destination of choice for its abode. So we're going to take questions from all of us, but it has to be not question. Somebody asked somebody a question, he said, this is wrong. What you are told to ask is question, not question, something that will shake them. If you ask a question, I didn't ask you to ask a question. I asked you to ask a question. So, don't ring-fence it with theoretical issues. So, we'd like to see the hands of those who would like to, okay, my Oga has already lifted his hand. Former head of service, former commissioner for lands, former this and former that, and permanent Oga of the small boy conductor.
Let me stand on protocols.
Yes, please.
My question needs some little notes before I ask the question itself actually. And my question, my topic is the issue is on the civil servants in this country and housing. When I joined University of Lagos in 1977, my salary was 320 naira as a lecturer. But my flight from Lagos to Enugu was 26 naira. So my salary could take me to Enugu and back 6 times, and I will still have a change.
And today, and I was a fresh graduate by 1977. Today, a fresh graduate doesn't earn up to 100,000 naira. And 100,000 naira cannot take even one flight from Lagos to Enugu. And government later on went and created this thing they call National Housing Fund, which improvised the workers in more. I don't see any country where everything is centered on government. In other countries, if you want a mortgage, you go to the mortgage bank and then take a mortgage bank as an individual, have an arrangement with them. So much money is tied down under the National Housing Scheme, taken away from workers, and no benefits coming to them. I want to ask, is there any way the Federal Mortgage Bank can create a system where you are dealing directly with the workers, with the minimum, the very legal salary they are earning, to cut down on their requirements? And if there is such a system, can you replicate, can you have desk offices in local governments so that there will be awareness? But many things we are doing are centered at the capital cities. Those in the rural areas don't know anything about what we are doing. Very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Valentine Oye, and then I'm the Managing Director of Jeffrey Capital Solutions Limited in Enugu. Also, as a student of estate management, I became a fan of financing, real estate financing, and I've been following up Reverend Ochibi in his projects. So, but I actually realized that a few times I've tried to interact with people in the mortgage sector. I think community mortgage, my friend here. I realized that a lot of bureaucratic bottlenecks that makes it difficult for individuals to access this loan. For instance, my dad has been a teacher.
I appreciate what we are doing. The amazing things that God has done for you by giving you the grace of vision and aspiration and dream that you have used well to transform your business into these giants enterprise. I thank you. I appreciate it. So I want to say that the word of God is not healing that willeth, nor healing that runneth that makes life, but everything on mercy of God. I have struggled to make it. Struggled when I came out of school. There was no government. I saw unemployment for 15 years before I became disillusioned. I entered into building construction. So in that building construction, we are building story building. I followed you the house at near Bonofi, kilometer of Silver Chimney. And Chimolo, you are right there. So I followed you there. But unfortunately for me, it was in that building construction that I got accident. I could move. I was in hospital for 6 months. All my ambition, aspiration, collapsed. It's unfortunate. But God said, in everything we thank God. That's why I'm sad. I thank God for association with people who are made it. That is my interest. Go to the people that have succeeded. You yourself will succeed. So my question to housing project is that the amount that I will prepare is fantastic. How can poor people pay such amount to get out? I myself, I have been in a rental house for 20 years. I have not built a new one house. It's unfortunate. You know my dream. You know my vision. But I have been realized. So I have come to you to
Choma Ifan Chukwu. I'm the MD, His Presence Real Estate and property. Okay, my question here is, when we talked about we have houses we don't need, and we need houses we don't have, it was a big one for me. I think it's a big one. So my question here is, sir, since you know the federal government, the state government knows that this is a problem, how do we tackle it? Because most times you don't force a child to eat what they don't want. When they eat it and it's not good in their body, it will affect them. Now, a family that has 6 children or 5 children, how do you expect them to live in a 1-bedroom flat or in a 2-bedroom apartment? So, I don't know if there's any way you people can come down to our need, what we want, to give us what we want. I think it will help us to live a better life. Please, this is my question is, what way will you people give us ear to know what we need so that you people will provide it, so that we'll be satisfied? Thank you so much.
Hello everybody, my name is Tebo Best. My question is directed to the last speaker, A.G. Montigate. He was talking about saving. So my question is this: given the uncertain structure or the uncertain nature of the economy, that is, we're talking about inflation, we're talking about exchange rates, how do we actually get to save and save enough to buy houses, given that the purchasing power is reducing like day?
Thank you.
And what I mean is that if we take the example you talked about, maybe a civil servant that earns 100,000 naira. 2.5% of 100,000 is 2,500 naira. That is money he could easily have 500 naira into a scheme. And if he contributes 2,500 naira for 6 months, that will be 50,000 naira. But because he is participating in that scheme, it affords him an opportunity to take a mortgage of either 5 million or 10 million or 20 million, which he can pay back within a period of 30 years. And the beautiful thing about it, sir, is that when you retire from service, whether or not you benefit from the National Housing Fund scheme, you are entitled to your total contribution plus 2% interest. And from our experience, that has been one of the very first payments that have been made to people that have retired. When they are still pursuing their gratuity and so on and so forth, a lot of them get easily paid through the Federal Mortgage Bank their total contribution before they are able to access their gratuity and so on and so forth. So, sir, I think the scheme is actually a novel creation. We appreciate that there are a lot of challenges around it, and that is what the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria is working towards resolving. Like you also mentioned, the possibility that we need to be more present in different locations, because right now we have offices in every state capital in the country. But like the point he made, that it's also important for us to have presence in local government headquarters. We may not be able to have presence in all the 774 local governments, but what that speaks to is that we can identify some viable locations where we believe that you can have houses. You know, there are some local government areas where you can build houses. Even if you say the houses are 33 million, you may still not be able to find people that can afford them. But it is important that we identify some of those viable locations and create our offices so that we can be very much closer to the people. So we take that suggestion, sir. Thank you very much. And then maybe I just address all the questions that relate to. Then there was also the issue of someone who talked about, I think the gentleman over there, about some bottlenecks in accessing the mortgage. The Bible says, ask and ye shall get, seek and ye shall answer. Seek and ye shall find, knock and it shall be opened. From our experience, a lot of people do not try. They just hear that it's very difficult to get this facility. So what I say to you is that give us a try. We have an office here. Chris Ibuzo, can you stand up for recognition? That is our Zoda manager, Enugu. Exchange contacts with him. The Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria that we have today is different from what we used to have. So once you approach us, you'll be able to access the facility. And we have also created an individual construction loan, where if you have a CFO on your own, you can approach any branch of Federal Mortgage Bank across the country, present your paper, apply for a loan. We will give you a loan for you to build a house by yourself. So those are some of the initiatives that we are introducing to respond to the feedback that we are getting. And by next week, we are also going to resume a TV program that we used to have to create a lot of sensitization so that people can know how to approach and apply for our facilities. We call it Everyone Deserves a Home. Every Thursday and Friday, one hour program on Channels TV and on NTA. We will do a lot of sensitization so that people can begin to understand more how they can approach us and how they can access our facilities. And then there was also the question, how do I get my house? So like I said, you visit us, you knock, and we will open. I think lastly, the lady here who said, I had said that our experience in Nigeria is that we have houses we don't need, and we need houses we don't have. What I'm trying to say is that you have a lot of houses being built, but these houses are above what people can afford. And so what we are doing as an institution is to deliberately take steps so that we can finance houses that can be affordable to people. Thank you very much.
Can I ask my dear friend, Pastor Bayabo, and the DVC, please, can you come and join us to take this picture? Please.
Don't miss this. Has been released into us, and I'm sure the panelists, Engineer Chima Henry Ike, Chairman Enugu State Radar, Pastor Dr. A.Z. Carlo, Chairman Abia State Radar, Dr. Sonny Chubawachibu, Chairman Anambra State Radar, and finally, Dr. This session will be moderated by Pastor Engineer Dave Emeka Wachibu, Vice President, Southeast Radar. Is off, your microphone goes off. So the microphone has been automatically synchronized with the timing machine. The timing machine is just in front of you.
We'll stand on existing protocol, and permit me also to appreciate our host today, Dr. Ugochukwu Chime. You know, I can't see Festus. I wanted to say something to him when he said that he's the first mentee here. Some of our people wanted to jump up. We now decide that they should come down. He's our father, as far as real estate is concerned in the Southeast. And I want to appreciate him and his wife for this wonderful opportunity given to us in the Southeast to hear what we are hearing. Thank you very much, sir. I also want to appreciate the Managing Director of Federal Mortgage Bank, Malam Osidi. I thought he would be here to hear me, but before he became the Managing Director, he was the first person we met at the Federal Mortgage Bank. And he called me that day we entered the bank first and told me that the people that directed you to come and meet me and told you what I can do, directed you well. So that thing that brought you here, we will achieve it. I looked at his promise, I looked at him. At that time, he was not the MD, he was just the group head of this special product. So, we started with a cooperative housing unit. And to the glory of God, that is what gave birth to Winners Estate, both phase 1, 2, and 3. And that is what gave birth to City of David too. So, we just have few numbers of houses to get to 1,000 units in Enugu here, courtesy of what he started with us. So, please, House, can we give him a round of applause? My name is David Emeka Mwachukwu. And briefly, I would like our panelists, who are the chairman of Real Estate Developers Association and 5 states of the Southeast, but unfortunately we didn't have a Ebonyi State here, to briefly just introduce themselves. Let's start from Abia State.
Good day, everyone. Standing on existing protocol, my name is Pastor Dr. Ezi Kalundukwe. I represent Abia State, God's own state, a state where there are no sinners. We're all righteous. Thank you.
Please, yes, Steve.
Okay. Yeah, good evening, everyone. My name is Engineer Chima Ike. I'm the chairman of Enugu State. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sonny Nwachukwu, PhD. I am the chairman of Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, Anambra chapter. Thank you. Good evening. Or rather, good afternoon. I think it's still afternoon, it's not evening yet. My name is Dr. Best Njoko. I am from Imo State, the heartland of Igbo land. I'm the chairman of Redan, Imo State. Thank you so much.
Okay, without wasting much of our time, you can see that we've narrowed the program down to Southeast Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria. I would like to say this. Redan is the umbrella body that is expected to carry out the supply chain of housing in Nigeria. Our executive came in at a point where the expectation for us to deliver is too high. I will no longer talk about the finances. We've heard a lot about mortgage and finances and savings and the financial aspect of owning a home. So we will not go there. We will only like to talk about these houses and what we are doing as the umbrella body that is expected to deliver these houses in Southeast. We discovered that we have about 187 organizations who are members of our association. And you look at our zone in Southeast, you will agree that the impact of this number is not being felt. when we came into board as the executive of this body. The example is the way we are seated down here. I'm sure over 65% of the people sitting down here doesn't own the houses of their own. People who are working, touching money on daily basis, on monthly basis, but they have worked for 5, 10 years, 15 years, but they are still living as tenants somewhere. The reason is that the right information that they should hear is not being passed across to them. And that is why we are very grateful to Dr. Reverend Ugochukwu Chime for giving this platform to enlighten our people on what we should know. When we came on board, we decided that we have to deliberately work hard, not to tow the path that every other developer has been towing, but we want to bring something new into real estate industry in the Southeast. Looking at the fact that Igbo people are industrious people, hard-working people, and you look across the nation, you will see that we are the main people that are driving development in various states across the nation. And even outside Nigeria, we have impacts in development. But coming back home, you will see that not much is going on in our zone, and we felt this is not normal. So we went into action. We started collaborating with the state governments of the various states, and we've discussing on the part that has been discussed. I want to skip that part, but there has been a very strong promise from the various state governments and ministries that are concerned in providing support for this housing delivery to back us up in getting these houses. So Redan is coming up now with the first Redan communities in all our various states with a 10,000 housing units in Southeast zone, meaning 2,000 housing units per state. I thought the managing director of Federal Mortgage Bank will be here, but I know his people are here. And the managing director of AG Homes, because very soon, what is in the incubator will be meeting them. The plan for them to finance, because all our people who are contributors to NHF are eligible to access this loan. So once there is a process of delivering these houses, they will provide the mortgage for those contributors. And the AG Homes is there. Redan is going to partner with you in delivering these mortgages to the list of teeming Southeasterners who are going to own these houses. So, having said this, I want to hand over to the various chairmen who are here so that they can be able to tell us what is happening in their various states. Please, we will start from Abia State.
Good day once more, House. I'm from Abia State, and Abia State is located on a straight road from Enugu here before you get to Port Harcourt. But incidentally, around this city, Enugu, where we have been coming around, there are a lot of houses that, by nomenclature, you can't mention the various estates. The same with Port Harcourt. Incidentally, from my state, Abia State, hardly will you mention any modern housing estates. In the same vein, when this administration took off, we notice that Abia State is really cut off in terms of ease of doing business. And so, like Paul told Timothy, his son, 2 Timothy 2:15, he told him to go and study and make himself quite versed with the scriptures, so that anywhere he will go, he will divide without reservations. We decided to study. 3 months into our inauguration, because I've been a mentee with the executive, attending the AMADEO programs, we said these things that we've been learning, which is not available in Abia, we'll bring it to Abia State. And so, by the grace of God, we were able to convene a seminar like we have here. 2-day seminars, 22nd, 23rd of August, that brought the national president of Red and Abia State. And we had a very robust faculty, like our moderator, Southeast President, Vice President, was there. Incidentally, the faculty is a replica of what we are seeing today. Dr. Oguria was one of the resource officers. Same with Dr. Ibinoba, and so on and so forth. I recall in that meeting that in my opening speech, as brief as possible, I compassed everything I had to say in a song. What was the song? I said, Ainayo, 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 Olisa, Golisa Tio Bolaka, Gumweto Lokea. So that was my song. We are begging God that each and everyone should have his own house. As you are sitting down here, as God is answering that song, that prayer, you will receive your own house. Having said that, that was a platform, because that seminar we conducted in collaboration with Abia State government. The state was fully represented. Our national president talked to them. Vice president talked to them. Our resource officers talked to them. They had it. And fallout of that meeting, what we are having now, is that the state government have resolved to now institute, to give us a radar city, a land for radar city, for radar, in Amibo, in Umuahia, Abia State. It's internal matter to tell you the expanse of the land, but everyone will be accommodated. Good things have started in Abia. Ease of doing business. Before we came in, to get a CFO used to take donkey years. Now, within 4 weeks, you get your CFO signed in Abia State. Several people are now trooping down. Government is now giving out land with ease. For the first time, Federal Secretariat is being built in Abia State. Land has just been given. Federal government housing program is now in Abia State. AG Market Bank, by Saturday, this Saturday, they're opening their office in Abia State. And I'm sure the next meeting of AMADEO, we are pleading, since we have been coming to Enugu, AMADEO, as having been mentee, you remember Abia State. We are ready to accommodate the next training program to hold in Abia State. Everybody, let's meet in Abia. It's God's own state, where there are no sinners. God bless you.
Please can the Enugu State Chairman.
Yeah, good evening everyone. May I start on the existing protocol? My name is Engineer Chima Ike, Enugu-Nigeria Chairman, Real Estate Developers Association of Nigeria, Enugu chapter. This program has been very, very interesting. From Tuesday, Wednesday, today is Thursday, and the grand finale. The knowledge is mind-blowing. We are here to tell you what is happening in Enugu State in case, as the chairman of Redan Enugu. A lot has been happening, but I want you people to know so you can key in real estate in Enugu. Because housing deficit in, thank God we have our founding fathers, the like of Reverend Ugochime, Icon, Hand of God. They have been helping Redan to bridge the gap we have in Enugu. And we all know that estate is traveling in Enugu State. We have the like of Housing Corporation, a lot of estate in Enugu. Really, people are really getting interested in Enugu in housing development. And we, as a Redan member in Enugu, we are partnering with the state government. We know we have a mandate. We are working and projection is still ongoing. A projection of 2,000 housing units as a Redan. It's called Redan Community. We are working with the state government, the Ministry of Housing in Enugu State, the Housing Corporation is coming up. It's a project that the Redan and Enugu is doing right now, which from time to time I'm going to tell you how you can key in. But for now, I want you to know that Redan is helping the people of Enugu in educating. We're organizing seminars, training, workshops. You can see what is happening here. It's all about educating you on how you can key into this industry and into what is happening in the housing in Enugu State. We have been doing some training, workshops, seminar, equipping the developers on how they could be part of this and build a smart and affordable house for the people of this city. And a lot is happening. For an instance, you can see, for those who is familiar with real estate in this town, the rectors, the contractors, the developers, you can see that a lot of estate is sprinkling. They are all part of Redan members. And for those who is into real estate, rectors, business is thriving. And when these are happening, we are creating employment. We are empowering the artisans, the builders, the communities. These are part of what Redan is doing. And for an instance, the way we are partnering with the artisans, the community, we are partnering with the state government in helping us in providing affordable housing in Enugu State, whereby members can register and key in getting affordable homes in Enugu State. So we have heard a lot today about this housing project. This is how we can own a home of our own in Enugu State. And this platform is a good platform for we to key in. And that's why, thank God we are here, that everybody here that was here registered and know what is happening. We as a Redan in Enugu is bringing it closer to you, for you to be part of it. We want you to own your own house because the government we are working with has made it possible for us as a Redan in Enugu State. Because our place where the is easy and simple. It's easy and simple for you to key in. We Redan are here to assist you. Thank God the federal mortgage people are here. It's all about you getting subscribed. And when you register, you can join us and own a home in Enugu State. Thank you all.
Okay, I think Enugu people are the luckiest people here.
Yes, so Enugu people are very lucky people.
Yesterday there was a groundbreaking of about 10,000 housing units that happened here in Enugu. So that is a very good opportunity for Enugu residents to own their houses. If you are working and you are making money, you are here, you have a very good platform to key in.
I am Sonny Wachuku, the chairman, Redan, Anambra chapter. We all know the major challenge we have in our climb in the society, which is housing deficit. And in Anambra, Redan is already on ground and running. Just 2 months ago, exactly on the 27th of August 2024, we had our inaugural conference, which was attended by top dignitaries from across the nation. And the state government is very desirous to see that this problem of housing deficit is solved in Anambra. Hence, our governor, Professor Charles Soludo, who is very passionate about it, is also planning, along with the ministries of housing and lands, to host an international housing fair within the first half of 2025. And on that note, we are very strong partners to the government in seeing that that problem is solved. In this very function, we've taken a lot of lectures, especially from the keynote speaker. Most of the things he lectured us on are exactly what we are planning to re-echo and put in action within Anambra. And it is also known in the country that in the housing industry, significantly, major players in the real estate business come from Anambra majorly, in the entire 36 states of Nigeria and Abuja. So, Anambra should be taken very seriously for this very industry business we are. And Anambra has a small landmass, but the government is very serious to support Redan on the Redan community project.
Thank you.
That's the coming 2,000 houses that we're about to build. All I want to tell us is to key in, and definitely on the aspect of finance, we have our partners from the mortgage subsector that we've listened to. Most of that is the MDs that have already spoken to us here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Please a round of applause once again for.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Best Njoko, Chairman of Redan, Imo State. I want to report that in Imo State, we have been trying to create awareness about Redan, the functions and modalities Redan operate. I would love it more if the MD of Federal Mortgage Bank is still here, because we've been facing a lot of problems in terms of funding. Imo State has the largest population in the southeast, And the market is there. The market is very large for housing. And we have the same problem almost every state in the Federation has. That is housing deficit. So we have been trying to collaborate with the state government. We have had discussions with the Commissioner for Housing and the Acting General Manager, Imo State Housing Corporation. Like yesterday, I had about 2 hours with her between 4 and 6 a.m. in the morning. We spoke and discussed about housing and how to build construct more houses for Imo people. Imo State, Owerri, the capital of Imo State, is home to so many federal and state institutions like FUTO, the Federal University of Technology, the Federal Polytechnic, the Federal AMADEO Federal College of University of Education. Then there are 2 other universities in Imo State, that is the state universities. So the market is real good for developers. But like I said earlier on, our problem has been funding. Like there's a cooperative society I've been trying to assist. For the past 3 years, they've not been able to access the fund from the Federal Mortgage Bank. So I want to say thank you. We in Imo State, we are trying to collaborate.
A round of applause for him.
Thank you.
Okay, we've heard it. Please, if you are coming from any of these states, from south, east, you know very well that you don't own a house yet, or you want to go into housing investment. These are the right people you will meet. We also want to encourage developers in the house who are not registered with Real Estate Developers Association in the states at the zonal level. Please, you have the opportunity now. You will not say, I don't know them anymore. These are the people you will meet so that you can legitimize your business. Also, we want to tell every one of us in the house who wants to own a home that security of your investments are guaranteed. That is the essence of the chairman coming to us. The government of these various states has guaranteed that all they are bringing resident community is 100% safe. So feel free to get involved. We also have created an enabling environment. You won't say you did not hear, you won't say you don't know what to do. Federal Mortgage Bank and AG Homes are here, and then Redan is providing the houses. It will be easy. You have a place you can talk about the house you want to own. You have the people that can provide the mortgage. You also have the Federal Mortgage Bank who will provide the money to offtake those houses, and you have a longer time to pay. So please, do whatever you can to build your finances through real estate industry, especially for those of us in Southeast. Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
Please a hand of applause for the region, Southeast.
We all as human beings, every one of us eats. And food is not something that we play with. It's a very essential thing. So we are into the reality of the time. with the growing migration into the urban sector, the growing migration into township, there has been this scarcity of access. There's this problem of having access to the regular, typical and ideal farm setting. So this particular crop sack farming has pretty much come to stay. And a lot of people ask questions, what is the limitation to what can be grown in sacks? So we're going to look briefly, very briefly today at crop farming in sack. And crop sack farming is simple, growing of crops in sack. And for today we're going to quickly look at yam multiplier. Very, very simple. You can actually have a very good management of your space when you talk about sack. For people that you walk into a compound, they have interlocking tiles in Transposition, GRA, you can actually practice sack farming. And yam sack farming, we know that the vines of yam, they contain a good little the soil, and preferably topsoil. You don't go to a mountain and get rocks and use it for yam planting. No. The regular topsoil, some pots, if you do not have an environment, you can actually reach out to agro dealers. They have topsoil that they actually sell. So you can actually toss. But it's important that you know that this is the environment, the first environment that your yam will have contact with. And allow sun to heat it. It helps. It helps to cure the soil. The word cure there is it helps to eliminate the effect of some of the soil microbes. So with your manure, then you bag. Then another growing medium, like I said, soil is a growing medium. You have to first of all put pebbles, stones under before you fill those growing medium. That's the rice husk and others. It helps to separate the ground from the soil so that it won't start growing things under. It's very important. Next please. Now this is a very important part of farming. We all know that a hungry soil will not grow you anything. Soil in sack has limited reach to outer influence, like it can eliminate itself, it can finish up. So you have to mix animal manure to your growing medium, because for about 5 to 7 months, this is what it has. For about 5 to 7 months, it's going to be in that micro location which is in the sack. So please, it is very important before you bag your soil, mix with animal manure. It is not that if you do not have access to animal manure, you cannot grow yam, but this is ideal. Now, the manure should be well cured. That means you should allow it to stay for a while, aerated and possibly sun before you use. Then you can also use compost. I don't know if you know what compost. There's a difference between regular animal manure and compost. Compost are the composed organic wastes, like your peels of plantain, leaves, all those things form compost. You can actually get a pit and dig a pit and drop remnants from your kitchen waste, from sweeping, anything that can decompose. You can actually harvest that and mix with your soil and form a growing medium for your yam. Next slide please. Now when it comes to variety of yam, most of us in the farming area know that the Abuja and Benue varieties are usually most preferred. They are sweet and they are white yams and they grow to very big sizes. Not that we are saying that other yams are inferior, but when you want to do something on a commercial basis, you go straight for the best if you can have access to the best. These are the bigger ones. They have very clear internal white tissue. Then we have the Wokari yam from Taraba State. We have the Nasarawa yam and the Oyo yam varieties. These are the top tier of varieties. Next please. Irrigation is very important. except if you are planting into the rainy season. So your yam needs moisture so that the foliage, the vine, the leaves will be able to have moisture so that they can be exposed to the sun and get nutrients for the yam. If you get a yam tuber, I'm moving away from yam seedling because the normal thing we look out for, what we're grown to know, is yam seedlings. But sometimes yam seedlings are quite scarce to some. Yam set, the smaller the yield. The bigger the yam set, the bigger the yield. It's simple. You can have yam set as little as cubes, the size of matches. You know matchstick box. The full yam that are sold as yam seedlings. But the bigger the yam set is, if you get a whole yam and cut into 3, you will definitely get a much bigger yam than when you cut the size of match pot. But the key thing is, if you want to plant the yam, make sure you do not hurt the back of the yam that you are planting. Because every yam has a pesticide too. Maybe later we can give you something, but this is because of that we are trying to work on the entire model. Next please. When you are planting, sorry about the picture, when you are planting, that is a bag that has soil.
Such a huge monumental success that it's been. Lord, we say thank you. Lord, our prayer is that this event will bring forth transformative changes in our lives. So Lord, we are asking tonight as we're going, as we're drawing the curtain to a close, may you continue to inspire us and help us, oh God, to be able to offer service that will yield positive impact on lives and more profitability to the things that we do in the name of Jesus Christ. We'll commit everyone into your hands, Lord, as we go home. Take us home safely and continue to prosper us in every ramification. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. In the name of the Father, Lord. Thank you so much. When you have opportunity, stop giving reasons. Very much you don't know it. They're not. And God has brought you up as a leader. So we need to enlighten others. Most of us are coming from the space where we are coming from. We know very well that we need to lighten up our spirit. Nothing is happening. We know the company is not in the southeast. So we need to start creating something. And that is why part of the things our own executive administrator, like we said over there, it's not a job. It's the step. See now, and when we came in, there's no formation for a platform for us to rise, grow our association, and grow our individual. These are the two things that are very key. So we decided that we are going to set out this group. Before we get the rural community, we have to start from this. At this point, what we are doing with the state government is, first of all, let us impact that idea into the state. And let them know that we're not bringing it for any individual person. We are bringing it for all of us. I hope you understand us. Yeah. So, our intention for these rural communities anywhere is that, you know, like our people used to say, and we have to start. We have to start. The tenor is running already. So that is why there is no more time. We have a lot to come to us. I mean, the ESCOs of different states on these weather issues and the weather community. But time will fail us. We just decided that while we come for this program, we have a little time to look at it so that when we go back, we start having that conflict of interest from state and so all of us are pursuing the same thing. When you see us meet with the state government, we are meeting the state government
for the entire region members in the zone and in the state. Because everyone who is a developer, who has capacity to do something, will be part of it. So we want to encourage everyone of us, it's not to go back. Put in your effort, work with the state and leadership. Work, the state leadership is working with the general leadership. Whether it's not the five, whether it's one. Like we have some calls from Abia State when they say that they will treat state and treat zone. I said whether is not divided, whether is one. You understand? So when we are coming from the betterment of members of. I think you consult us when we treated Lagos, because they treated some of our members from Lagos. It's not necessary. Don't make it look as if the house is fighting against each other. No. What we are trying to do is, for those of us who are beginners, we can start. We have a plan from to start. While, like you had the Professor Miki, when he was talking, those of us who see that are doing 100, 200 houses, 500 houses, 1,000 houses, they didn't start like that. They started with 1 unit at a point. And as you are doing one, before you know it, you start doing two. Before you know it, you start doing three. But we have to give our members value for becoming members of the association. And secondly, we also have to create impact as an association in our various states. It's very important. What can we point at in Anambra that can say to the government of Anambra State that this is the impact of the association in the state? Nothing. Today, that Enugu state government is, if they want to do anything, they will call people, they will call some of us and begin to ask questions. This is what, how can we do this? They will make consultation and invite you. It's because they have seen what you people have done. You understand? So when there is something you have done in the state, the government will be forced to consult you anytime the issue of that sector comes up. So we had some of the states that did groundbreaking of renewed hope housing. And some chairmen called and said that they were not even consulted in the state. They are done now. They were not invited to be part of the groundbreaking in the state. As the chairman of the association in the state, the reason is that the government does not feel that you have impact. You have contribution to what you are about to do. So we have to change the narrative. It is very important. And that is why we are coming up with what we are coming up. Brethren community in all our states, we have to work with the state government to make sure that at least this is achieved. Our industry, from what we have done, is too large, is too wide. The value chain, in fact, is very profitable. It's capital intensive, yes. It needs hard work, it needs commitment. Above all, it needs collaborations. What people have is equal to you, and it doesn't take us anywhere. Yes, you can do your own in your post, you can do your own. But by the time all of us come together and name a place, anybody that passes by will ask questions about it. But they will see something meaningful there. So that's what we want to do. Please, don't think that you were elected to come and fold your hand and watch the situation, you know, and answer the name that you are also person a radar. No. That's not the purpose of your election. That's not what you are brought into office. You are brought into office to come and create impact, to come and change. Before you leave office, we should be able to be pointed at something. Government don't just do anything. We give them pressures to do what we want them to do for us. If you fold your hand, they won't do it. Somebody we have to be on and off with them and persuade them, and then know what we are talking about. Most of the things we are going to learn on this one, we will learn it while we are while we are before. Some of the things they are saying here, most of us will not understand it the way they are saying it. But when you encounter it in the field, you know it by force. Because experience is always the best teacher. So, and you can see the vision and plans of these leaders. Ugochime is 63 years. Under normal circumstances, he should be talking about retirement. Is it not? How many years are you? How many years I've crossed 50? Last month, September, was my 51. So, at 60, it is expected that you go on retirement. Even though it's amazing, is it not? So, now we should be able to impact some people that will take up, and it takes time. You can see somebody who said that for 15 years they have been following somebody, they have been learning. It takes time. So we should be able to begin to take steps, press steps to build other people, other young ones who will come up in the next 10 years, in the next 15 years. So that, like he pointed out, one of my observations, and I know most of us knows it in this industry, we that are going on this country, I tell you, Chinese people are entering into, in fact, in most places, where we've been pricing, last week, we were talking with a set of people on land. They told us, in fact, we are in that office discussing in Abuja. Chinese people came. They told us that yesterday, these people deposited 1 billion naira in that ministry. So the MD have no choice. They are simple. They have to leave whatever they are doing and ask the Chinese people. Follow them to where they want. You understand? In that state, Chinese people are buying land. I don't know.
Chinese want to take our business.
So in here, they are jumping up. Now, we're not really talking about other people from various places. And we are players in this industry. How will it look like? A lot of us will be here. Many of us will be here looking at ourselves. People will come in. And then we'll be a process of chase us out of our business. That's not a good one. So the purpose of our association is to begin to think about business. We have to start making this. We have to get to a point where if they are talking to people in Lagos or they are talking to people in Abuja, come to the east, come and do something. When they check it, when they see it from the other side, they will come. They will tell you that it's going to be hot competition for them because there are already capable heads in those areas. And if we don't take this deliberate step to support ourselves, work together to achieve this, there's no how we can achieve that. There's no how we can get there. So please, we want you to understand when you're going to take this home. Please don't feel less outside. Be part of what is happening. The community is coming for. But we are not going to bring outsiders to development. No, we are not. It is people inside that will develop it. Yesterday I was discussing with the minister over this project. I met him in Enugu here when we came back. I called him. He told me the hotel where he was. We went there. I went with him. And when we came, he was asking me, what I said, we are doing something. That's what we will soon come to you. He said, tell me, what is that? I said, we are coming up in samples with 10,000 housing. And we are bringing it just like what the federal government bank said. You know what he told me? He was very happy that we are coming up with something like that. And he advised that we are going to make these houses affordable. Immediately he said, he was just talking, he is involved himself, that what you will do is to bring down the prices of the house so that it will be affordable. He is looking at workers who are earning 150,000 naira so that they can be able to pay the mortgages. We thought, of course, we know how to. When we get to that stage, we'll be able to do that. That's why we didn't want to talk about the financing was. We didn't want to talk about anything we have talked about. Then when we get to that stage, we'll plan it very well and get over it. So, but government on their part, even at the federal level, is going to fund it. It's going to be part of it. They're going to be part of it. They have no choice. We don't know what we are going to achieve together as a team. We don't know it. So our prayer is that all of us should get ready and think of the impact we are going to contribute. Accra has given us a very cooperative hand, in this move. Because the Commissioner for Lands, the Commissioner for Housing, they are ever, in fact, our challenge is time, my time. That's the challenge now.
they want to get the governor, they are giving position a place for us. You understand? So I want to encourage these things. It's not rocket science. It's not spirit that will come from spirit world and do it for us. It's not individuals who have done. The association must make impact at this time in our various states. Please, at this time we are coming up, it's very important. This is one of the information we want to pass across to us. So that when we go, we will start seeing these things happening. That let's support, ask your chairman, because they are the ones we are constantly in touch with, so that we can be able to move it forward with this. We are able to join as a team to achieve this. And then you yourself start making plans as a person too of the road and how we are going to do that. So when preparation meets opportunity, the result is inevitable. So let's really prepare yourself. We can be able to make impact in the zone, in your states. It's possible. We're not happy that your chairman is not here, but I think giving us anything is not in the country. I mean, it's not in the country. So part of the plan, I used to tell our team that this thing comes in phases. Government alone cannot fund that project, but there's already plans of people to bring in people from various parts of the world who are going to be part of the project. But we have to have the result, because no one is going. We have to have the result that we must do this. We have to have that result. So we want to encourage every one of us, please. I'm sure every state is represented here. Go back home, pass that information, and let's work together to achieve it. What is 2,000 housing units? It's nothing. You don't know the demand. Like they say, we build houses we don't need. That's the type that when people remember it, they go, but this one we are doing is attractive. And with Federal Mortgage Bank, you see the class of people. That's when you know that there are millions in every state. And Nigeria is having about 28 million housing deficit. It's not a joke, it's 28 million as we speak in 2024. So, how many states do we have in Nigeria? So there's no state that is not up to million. And yet, people are earning salaries, people are working. So it is doable. That's number one. The other one is, please, the secretaries of the state, I need the chairman to please work on this. Your secretaries are supposed to be giving us quarterly reports, which we are sending to the president. Quarterly reports. Every 3 months, you give us updates, give us your report, state report of your performances, of what you are doing, of whatever has happened. Where is Dr. Bessie? Dr. Njoko, okay, Njoko. Yeah? See, these are the things. You need to get us Igbo state reports. You need to have everybody's report every 3 months, because we are sending it to the nation. Then, thirdly, because of fraud in Nigeria, associations who want to belong to, individual companies who want to belong to the associations are not admitted carelessly. I hope someone is understanding me. It's not when somebody comes from anywhere and says, I'll call your phone as chairman, and say they directed it from whatever. Don't register it before you register yourself into trouble. Carry out some due diligence. Somebody came to register in Enugu the other time. I called away. I directed the person to the state, the duty of the state. You got it. So at the center they gave me my number. I said, I transferred it back to the state. And then the state, and I told you, carry out background check and be sure of the person you are bringing. You don't just register people because they need to register. These days, of course, in my own estate, Minas Estate, EFCC have invaded that estate more than 10 times because of the activities of fraudsters. But they already know. They already know my side. So they don't call me my side. So they know who they are dealing with. Because from day one, we carry them. So as the chairman and secretaries of the state carry out background checks of the people. That's why at the center, I am one of the advocates of the people that says, if a member does not belong to a state, it's not a member. If they collect his money in Abuja, he's going to be an Abuja politician. Until he comes to the state and creates his files. And before you do that, office must be known. You ask people how long has this person been here. His project site must be known. If he's a professional who doesn't have sites, yes, we are qualified to be our members. You understand? But remember that Renal membership is by association, not by individual. So it means the association must have address. Do you understand me? So that we don't have the record they will give us 100 and they will be quoting, but we are not seeing people. So please, take note. We will not have time. Madam, can you address us on the functions? Because we are having crash of interest in some areas, and it's not of what we want. Also, it's even though our position is very clear. Are there people going today? Oh, okay. So we may not be able to run that. Those who are going, okay, but those who are staying, I'm meeting with all of us. Privately for those who are staying. Can I make some observation? If you permit me. Okay. I want to thank everybody for coming. Just 1 minute. I want to thank everybody for coming. And we are doing very well. We have to look at our internal activities and see our performance. In any state that is not performing very well, we need to encourage them. We need to encourage them to start doing well. Do you understand? All of us, we are working together to ensure that we achieve the common goal. But any state that is not doing well, we want to encourage. Okay, I'll see. I need to discuss something with you before. So any state that does do, we need to encourage. I'm making my reference to Igbo State. I have to be open. And the Igbo State. Igbo State is not doing well. Igbo State is not doing well. Why we are here is we want to encourage you, we want to be part of your meeting. Want to be part of your meeting. The next time we are coming, I'm appealing to VP. That is my opinion. The next time we are coming to Owerri, we are going to resuscitate your meeting. I think you are planning something. Your meeting. People is planning something. We are not. Every other state we can attest to that. To Anambra, Enugu, but Igbo State and Abia and Ebonyi. It's not active. That's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we are here to encourage you to be proactive. Thank you. All right. Okay. So the people living, the committee members that were released, please, the chairman take it and contact them so that they can know and what was given to them of the committee. Take the names and push. I think there was a time in the matter that so that as a guy, or if you don't have the information, you can check them. We will see that matter. We will see that matter as it concerns Zambia. Okay, start right. Are you people? We will talk. We posted now. We posted. Hello, dogs. No, that's not wrong. So, you know that chairman says, I'm not